Yo, welcome everybody. Hello. Hope you all are having a fantastic day so far. I had to open either Minecraft or Valorant to save my life. I'd open Minecraft anyways. Yeah, at least Minecraft, you can build and create and do whatever you want, You waterman, of course. I'm gonna quickly go through the recent followers, just get out of the way. Trip Fandango, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the puddle. Meegs Toast, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the puddle. Adventurous B, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the puddle. JDXY, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. And Casual Night 2, welcome everybody. So I'm sure all of you are here for one reason and one reason only, and that is to learn how to play Valorant better, right? We're all here to get some, experience in and figure out how to play this godforsaken game. Well, today, hopefully I can give you guys some tips that can help you get through that and figure out how, you can better your game. Here for Purple Eye? Hell yeah, of course. I'm here because I like the street. Well, sick. Appreciate you always, homie, as always. Oh, Autumn, you guys are too nice. too nice. Anyhow, I'm probably gonna wait like maybe another minute or so before we get anything into anything crazy. Meatball! Oh, amazing meatball! Yes, I do have a second eyeball. I do. I can raise and put my hair up and down. So. Yeah, so today, if you guys don't already know, based off the title, we are going to be going over the basics of FPS genre as well as the basics of Valorant in general. And I'm just gonna be teaching you everything from the ground up. Essentially, if you've never played the game before, we're gonna try making it so that you do know how to play the game, even if it's at like a very scuffed level. But we'll get through it together, It's a total experience for everyone. Alrighty, so to keep on schedule, we will go ahead and drop right into it. So I don't have any slides or presentations made, unfortunately, but I do have some video examples that can be handy for the stream. Let me go ahead and add my window capture. I'll go ahead and hide that and leave it there. Okay, so for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Ryujin. I am a Cloud9 Training Grounds coach, and I coach Valorant. I've been coaching for almost a year now. Next month I'll be coaching for an entire year, this coming February, which is very exciting. So I do have a decent amount of experience under my belt. I'm not just some random guy who's trying to teach people how to play the game. So just to preface who I am, I also play Valorant collegiately and at like a tier 3 level. I've been on a couple of teams, and my collegiate team, we've been pretty successful. I think we have like a total of like 20k winnings or something like that. We've done pretty well this season. Just so that you all know what you're getting yourselves into. Let me go ahead and get stuff pulled up. So I have a bunch of video examples of pretty successful. Yeah. True. Yeah, let me keep playing the music. So for those of you who this is your first FPS game, the first person genre is very different from anything else comparatively. So like if we go to shop reveal, I got you. My shop's pretty bad right now. I got some greens and a blue. Pretty sad. Here, let me get rid of the image too, because I don't need that pulled up. I'm not playing ranked. So for those of you who Valorant's your first genre, Minima Op OP, true. Minima Ares, true. Yeah, for those of you who Valorant is your first FPS game, it's a very different genre within first-person shooters. So going into the history of first-person shooters, the first FPS game that was ever made was Doom, or at least the first-person genre. Doomslayer was like the first sort of game that was in that genre, and it allowed you to, you know, like roam around some buildings and fight monsters in order to like save the world, essentially. However, the scene has since evolved. True, Minima Sheriff is pretty clearly, not gonna lie. Very valid. But as we go on, you know, the FPS scene has evolved into very many and different separate genres. For example, we have games such as tactical FPS shooters, such as CS:GO and Valorant. We have you know, team-based like cart pushing games, such as, or like objective-based games, such as you know, Team Fortress 2, Overwatch. And then we have other genres like battle royales, and a bunch of, you know, other different game modes. You know, the Call of Duty is like an own genre in itself, in my opinion. It's very different from any other game. So there's a bunch of like history behind the FPS genre. Yeah, movement shooters like Quake. That's very true. What's another movement shooter? Man, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but yeah, Quake was very, very chaotic for sure. I used to play Minecraft Quake. There's like a Minecraft server that had Quake on it. Pretty fun. So yeah, so that's like a little brief quick intro to the history of FPS. Now getting into Splitgate Pog. True, that game's crazy. That game's chaotic. Now getting into basic movement. Obviously, if you've played first person shooter games, played that too? Awesome. Yeah, pretty good game. Now, if any of you have, you know, played even a little bit of Valorant or just like any first person shooter in general, if you're playing on like, I think, well, I mean, obviously Valorant's PC only, but if you're playing on a keyboard, obviously we use WASD to move, and then you use your mouse to look around. Very basic stuff, obviously. Getting into a little bit more about our keyboard and mouse settings. One of the things here, I'm gonna actually just have it so that you can see my whole screen and see what I'm doing. We'll do display capture. Let's do this, bam. Awesome. Okay, let me readjust the size of this real quick. Hi, you can see me on my green screen. So opening up the settings real quick. Now this is something that not everyone really does, and it's not super necessary. Additional mouse options. Okay, so might be able to just capture this window. Let's see. No capture. Perfect, I can. There we go. All right, so getting right into mouse settings really quick. So within your settings, if you go to settings, your basic general settings, and then you go to devices and go to mouse, you can bring up your mouse settings. Now this won't tell you a lot of information about your mouse as far as like how much GPI you're using or anything like that. What this will allow you to do is you can go over to where it goes pointer options, and you can disable enhanced pointer precision. This doesn't really affect the games much anymore. A lot of games have adapted to make it so that enhanced pointer precision turns off automatically when you start playing. But personally, it's just a preference that I like to turn it off. Well, essentially what enhanced pointer precision does is when you move your mouse around and you like move, let's say I go left to right like this. Right now it's taking the raw input of my mouse. GMBT21XD, thank you so much for follow. Welcome to Puddle. Yeah, so essentially what enhanced pointer precision does is it compensates for the speed that you're moving your mouse. So if you move, so let's say I move from left to right here, depending on how fast I swing my mouse and how fast I move my mouse, enhanced pointer precision will increase the speed of my mouse to compensate for the space that I'm using. For games, especially like first person genres and like MOBAs like League, you want to have this disabled because you want the raw data input so that you can more accurately like choose what you do in the game and make more precise like mouse movement. So by turning that off, you allow yourself to have a better, like, I wouldn't say necessarily advantage, and it might take some time to get used to if you don't already have it turned off, because it is a different feeling. but you'll have like better control over your mouse and over your aim in game. Yeah, it does explain a lot, and it can be a little bit annoying sometimes. So for example, like here, I can turn it on real quick and click apply. If I go like this, if I like go far, I'm not moving my mouse that far. It's the enhanced pointer precision is predicting where I'm moving, like how fast I'm moving my mouse, and increasing the speed of it. So by turning it off, you give yourself more control over your mouse, I guess, and over your cursor and where your aim is pointed. So it's more precise. Because as sad as it is, enhancing pointer precision does not enhance your pointer precision in game. It just makes it more usable for the computer. So disable that. If you don't know where to find it, I'll go and repeat it. Go to your Windows settings, go to devices, go to your mouse settings, and then go to advanced mouse settings. And then it'll start you on buttons. Just click pointer options and disable it. Not super big thing. It's not really affected anymore. But it definitely can affect you in certain games. I'm pretty sure actually in Valorant right now, if I go ahead and open up knowledge, Yulia, how's it going? Hello. If you go to your Valorant settings, I'm pretty sure, yeah, so they have a new thing called raw input buffer, which essentially is if you had enhanced pointer precision on, instead of disabling, you can just turn this on and it will try to make your raw input, like take your raw input. Personally, I like just having it off, so that way I know for a fact that I have my raw mouse input being in. So that way I have more control over like where I'm aiming and what I'm doing in game. So yeah, that's just like the quickest starting setting for getting into like first person shooters. It can help a lot, especially when you're trying to do like, you know, more advanced things like, you know, spray control and stuff, because having that mouse and pointer precision on, if you're trying to like spray control, so like keeping this as tight as it can, like in a circle here, if you're trying to do this and you're pulling down and it starts predicting where you're gonna go, it's gonna like pull you down lower than where you actually want to go. So turning that off can be very helpful. Now that they have this setting on, you don't necessarily need to. Personally, I still like it. Getting into the next thing about first person shooters is I'm sure a lot of you have heard the terminology mouse DPI and sensitivity, or like what's your DPI, what's your sensitivity. A lot of people like asking about that throughout like the first person shooter scene, whether you're like whether it's Call of Duty or CSGO or Valorant or Overwatch. You know, it's a very big thing, because essentially what you're asking for is like, okay, so how much do you control your mouse? Like, how do you move your mouse? And it's pretty important to know, like you want to have that information accessible, so you know, okay, like do I have a really fast sensitivity? Do I have a really low sensitivity? And if you have a really low sensitivity or really high sensitivity, you want to like see how comfortable it is, especially if you have a lot of space to use. Minecraft is an FPS game because bows exist. True. That is very true. So if you go ahead and go to your settings in Valorant, you know, you have your mouse sensitivity, and you have sensitivity aim. This is your in-game sensitivity. I play at a very low sensitivity, obviously, so you can see the sliders at like basically nothing. And I also play at a relatively low DPI. Essentially what DPI means is every mouse has for most part, mouse nowadays use a retinal scanner, or not retinal scanner, excuse me, like a laser scanner, to move. So like every time I go like this and I move my mouse in my hand is scanning, like on the surface that it is. That's why using like a glass surface or a surface that's like, really smooth or like, sealed doesn't really work too well, because the mouse uses like reflecting light off of a surface to figure out how much you're moving your mouse. What DPI means is dot per inch, or hold on, yeah, dots per inch. And so essentially what that is if you have a low DPI from 2.7 to 0.7, correlation does not equal causation. Improve sense. True. And sensitivity, once again, sensitivity is not like the all and all of anything. You might have like a really high sense or really low sense, but it's all based on preference. But getting into that preference, depending on the space you have, it might be more comfortable to use a different sensitivity, especially depending on how you play. and how you use your mouse. So if you have a lot of space to use, a lower DPI can give you more control if you want to use your arm to aim. And essentially what that means is using your arm to aim. If you have a lot of space, you'll find yourself physically lifting your arm up to move back and forth. And I should really have my camera on or something to like show this. I might get that set up in a bit just because it's helpful to like visualize. Let me see if I can pull it up on YouTube. Let's see. Okay, yeah, perfect. So I have a good example right here. Let me just pull this on OBS. That's display capture, window capture. Go here, this, and we'll go bam. Cool. Low sense to aim with your wrist. Okay, so I'll go over what that means in a second. I'll go over how that can help. So right now I'm just using this YouTube video as an example to show like what I mean by arm aiming and wrist aiming. So essentially what this user is using is he has a lot of mouse space. You can see his keyboard is tucked away to the side and he has a lot of space to use. He's got like probably like his entire desk to move his mouse. He has nothing on his desk. His entire desk is covered by a nice big mouse pad. And you see by this video, when he's moving around his mouse, he's using his like his arm to aim. So you'll see how he physically lifts his arm and he slides it around. So right now he's using his arm to like control where his mouse is going. Let me go back to OBS. Now if you have a lot of space, based off preference, that might be what you want to do, and you might want to use a lower sense so that you can use your arm and use the maximum amount of space to like move. However, if you don't have a lot of space and use something called wrist aiming, which you primarily use your wrist, spooky review, yeah, where you primarily use your wrist to aim around, then you might prefer a high sensitivity because you have a lot less space to use, and you might be able to like you know, better control what you do depending on the area you have. So excuse me, sorry. So having a low sensitivity versus high sensitivity really is all preference, like I said, and depending on the amount of space that you have, it could be better to use a high sense or low sense. So for the less space, you want to use a higher sense, and for low space, or I'm sorry, for less space, you want to use a higher sense, and for more space, you want to use a lower sense. You don't necessarily need to, but that's just how I have it. What if you don't have a lot of room but can't control high sense? Then try to find a mid ground. You know, you can. One of the things that you can do is you can really like, okay, so like high sense here, I'm just gonna go ahead and set this to something crazy. So let's say I go like one. Ball? Meatball!
Meatball!
Whoa! Amazing meatball!
Amazing
So if I set this sensitivity to 5, you can see that it's very hard to control. It's very jerky. And that's because obviously I'm not used to controlling this. A lot of mouse movement comes from muscle memory. So personally, using a lower sense for me, I'm able to retain my muscle memory and how I aim a lot better than I am if I use a high sensitivity. It's actually scientifically proven that if you use a sensitivity that's easier to control, so let's say if for like an arm swinger, a lower sense, or like a wrist swinger or a wrist aimer, a medium sense, you'll be able to retain that muscle memory better. And the whole point about getting God, what's the word I'm looking for? Consistent. The whole idea behind getting consistent is being able to consistently, specifically aim, by the way, talking about aim. Consistency behind aim comes based off of muscle memory. So if you can consistently be like, okay, a spray pattern. So let's say, especially in like CSGO, or like games where spray patterns are consistent, Valorant it's not, and we'll get more into what spray patterns are in a bit. But with spray patterns, so let's say I shoot at this wall, and obviously when I shoot at the wall, the gun has a spray, right? If I learn how to control that spray and I get it down to muscle memory, and every time I can get it into this tight little circle, I have a better advantage against somebody who doesn't know how to control it. So like I can keep it in this tight little area right here. And that's all based off of muscle memory. So if you can, you know, keep doing a repetitive thing and get it to be a memory that you like, something you don't have to think about, something you just automatically do. Hence why muscles memory, not your memory. You'll be able to, you know, control it better and be able to use it easier. All right, so we talked about sensitivity, we talked about DPI a little bit, and we talked about enhanced pointer precision. I can't talk. Precision. Now what we're gonna get into is how to aim. Just like really basic stuff, like how to have consistent and proper aim. I'm gonna actually boot up another map real quick, and we'll get more into like aiming, how it relates outside of Valorant before we get into how it relates in Valorant. Let me just start up a random map. So one of the things that you want to do is, if you can, just do it. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Yeah, true. So obviously a lot about aiming is being able to use your mouse to you know, move. So you use your mouse to move it into a like a specific position, excuse me. Are you an aim labs kind of guy, or Kovacs, or neither? So I do have aim labs installed. Personally, I don't use it a lot, and I used to use it more so than I do now. But aim labs is very good, and I'm actually gonna get into that in a bit, a little bit. Let me go ahead. Oh, I don't have cheats on. Hold on. Now we're gonna go here, allow cheats. Cool. So getting into the game. Yeah, so let's go ahead and open aim labs. Launch game is ready. I need to update. Apologies, friends. Oh, I need to also pick up character. Go here, pick that. Like 6 misses on Val rhythm shot. Die for you, Osu thick. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, that's a fun song. That's really impressive though. 6 misses. Excuse me. Only missing 6 times. That's impressive. Hold on. Password. Okay, there we go. So one of the things that I suggest for people trying to learn how to play and how to use aim with their mouse, is to download an application called Aim Labs. It's free on Steam, and it essentially what it is an aim trainer. Oh, I already have it up. I just need to unhide it. Are you? Bam. There we go. Okay, so this is a free application on Steam, and all it is an aim trainer. So it allows you to train your aim in different scenarios. So let me go ahead and I'll just go to where's grid shot? Spire shot works. So one of the reasons why this is good for getting an idea of how to use your aim or like how to aim in general. Oh, hold on. I'm not gonna really try here, but one of the reasons why this is, I haven't used aim labs in a long time to get back into it. Yeah. It can definitely help, but essentially for why this is good to practice. Excuse me. So using aim labs is good because you can use the sensitivity of your game. So let's say Valorant, I can set my game to Valorant, and then I can set my sensitivity to the exact sensitivity that I have, excuse me, in Valorant. And this is really good because it can allow you to get a better idea of how your aim works in game while being outside of the game environment. I'm gonna exit the menu real quick. Grid shot. Shot ultimate. Oh, do I have to click play? Okay, there we go. Start aim. Yeah, exactly. So essentially what you're doing with aim labs is you're training your muscle memory for aiming. So okay, so let's say I want to like the whole idea is to shoot these circles, right? And I'm gonna quickly change my crosshair so it's easier to see. Perfect. Essentially what you want to do is all it is shooting these small circles. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to train your muscle memory to say, okay, when I move my mouse in a certain position or way, my crosshair will go to a certain spot. So like you're training your muscles, be like, okay, so if I click here and if I like move my mouse in a certain direction and then click, I'll be hitting the target. And if you can get consistent with it, you know, and increase your speed. I'm very, very bad at doing stuff fast because of my sensitivity, but you can do more and more, you know, get faster and faster with it. So doing this at least once or twice a day, or at least for 5 minutes a day is what I would suggest if you're getting into the genre and wanting to like figure out how to better your aim. And this will basically all this does is figure out, okay, how much do I need to move my mouse to hit a target? That's all this is. This is building muscle memory for aiming, and for like better control and use of your mouse. So if you have really bad control with using your mouse, and if you have a hard time using your mouse, then this is a really good and easy way to like figure out how like to aim and how to get better with aiming. Diamond overall, nice. That's very good. Another thing that this program allows you to do is allows you to practice making quick movements between, you know, high and low positions. So in Valorant, you know, obviously there's in the world, I guess you could say, there's X, Y, and Z coordinates. So X and Y are your up and down. I'm sorry, up, down, and left and right you know, coordinates, right? And then your Z coordinate is going forward and backwards. So in Valorant, we have all of those. In Valorant, we have the X, Y, and Z coordinates. However, in Valorant, your Y coordinate is not used too much. You don't have to look up as much as you do left and right. And what this does is this allows you to train all of those movements. So you can practice training your up, which is like, okay, so looking from down to here to up there, as well as your left and right. And just allows you to practice doing that. I suggest doing so. For people who really want to practice their aim before they go into a game. That rhymed unintentionally. I suggest doing aim labs for at least like 5 minutes before going into your opening Valorant. And once Valorant is actually open, I suggest like going into a deathmatch before you start playing. Just so that you can like get a feel of your aim in general and then move that over to the actual game itself. High score in Gridshot is 113,000 by Golden Valo. There's a reason behind that. And I'll get into it in a bit. But in Valorant, you can have the best aim in the world and still not even hit Immortal. You can probably be like plat. If you are relying on aim alone, you can probably get to like low diamond. And that's just talking ranks. But from a very basic level, you want to have practice your aim and be able to, you know, utilize your aim, because a lot of this game is, you know, shooting. You want to have a gunplay. You want to be able to shoot from like point A to point B. So I want to quickly close out aim labs. Once again, this program is free on Steam. I really suggest you download it. There's a lot of things you can do with it. There's actually Valorant specific, you know, tests that you can do or playthroughs. So like here, so this is rendition of like a very specific clutch that Hiko had. So it's like, okay, look at this Hiko clutch. He's like, wow, okay, look, he's behind this box and he's just going crazy, right? He gets like 1, 2, 3 and he clutches around, right? And this allows you to practice doing certain situations like that. So if you look at here, this is a very specific thing, but it gives you a gun and you're behind a box. The map is set similar to that. and you want to like take your time practice shooting, right? It's like, wow, okay, look at that. And the targets will like shoot back at you and stuff. So it's not like you're just doing this like lollygagging. But it gives a very good like example of what it might be in game. So there's a bunch of different things that this program allows you to do. I really suggest to download it. Once again, it's free. I'm just gonna quit it for now because that's all I really want to talk about it. But you can do so much with it. All right, now that we're in game, I want to continue talking about let me turn the audio on because I turned it off. I want to continue talking about Valorant aiming. So one of the things that I get a lot while I'm coaching is coach Ryu. I'm having trouble aiming at head level, right? Like I'm really good at aiming. I can like aim and shoot and stuff, but I'm having a difficulty aiming where like people's heads are, like at like head level, so that I can get headshots. Because in Valorant, it's very, very important that you hit headshots, as they deal more damage and they increase your time to kill, or they like decrease your time to kill. Poppy Trio, yo, how's it going, man? Welcome, welcome. So essentially what aiming at head level, like I just said, means is that you want to aim where the enemy's head is supposed to be placed, so that way you can have an easier time readjusting your aim to hit a headshot. And I'm gonna give a quick example video of that and what that looks like. So let me go ahead and pull up window capture. Let me close this guy's YouTube video out because I don't need it. I have a bunch of example videos, by the way. Where is it? Where is it? Okay, good crosshair placement and bad crosshair placement. Let me go ahead and open this, turn the quality up. Alrighty, so, and these are very, very extreme examples, by the way. I recorded these examples while I was working with Cloud9 Training Grounds, in order to give examples of, okay, like what bad versus good aim might look like. And these are very extreme. Not everyone's going to have an issue like this. But you'll see the difference. So for example, in this is an example of bad crosshair placement. If you look already, this person's aiming at the floor and walking around looking at the ground. And watch when he finds the enemy. And this is like actually awful. Wow, this person didn't even adjust. Essentially what you want to do is, if you look at the enemy, so let's say he's looking at the ground and he comes around the corner, and this might be like iron level gameplay. This is what people who at the very, very beginning of the game might like look like. But you know, he's looking at the ground, he sees the enemy. Now if you look from the distance where his crosshair is, the enemy's head, it's a very large distance in order to readjust to be able to hit a shot on a headshot. The whole goal is that by hitting a headshot, you kill them faster. With certain weapons, you can instantly kill somebody by landing a headshot. Yo, that me? Bro, I feel I can relate. It happens. You know, this is a common problem, especially within like the lower elo of the game. But like, you want to be able to like aim higher. So you look, even at the end, they're still aiming at the ground. And this doesn't really do a lot for if you're trying to hit a headshot, right? You want to be able to kill people faster. The whole idea is that the faster you get rid of somebody, the better it is for you and your team. Because you'll be able to have, you'll be able to do more. So let's say there's 2 people. If you take that long to kill, like this was a 9-second clip. If you take, what was it? Let's see, we start here. If you take 3 seconds, 4 seconds to kill one person, and there's 2 people standing next to each other, and chances are you're not going to be able to kill the second person unless you get really lucky, right? So if we look at a better example of crosshair placement, oh, give me 1 second. If we look at a better example of crosshair placement, already at the start, now we're in the same position, same, scenario where the person's in the same spot. You already see the person in question is not looking at the ground. Why is this so buggy? They're aiming at a higher level, and this is what we call head level. So when he comes across somebody, he'll be able to easily land a headshot. For example, look, instantly, without even having to adjust too much, he's already aiming where the head is, and he can easily and quickly kill the enemy and make it so that your team is at an advantage and you have a lot less problems. Now, people ask me, okay, so how do you get to that level? How do you make it so that you can aim consistently at head level? Probably a little better ahead of where you are right now. But can you actually show better ways to tell when the ground is different between you and the enemy? Are you talking as far as like where like height wise? So like if you're walking, so somebody down there at a lower level, like from here to like a different height. Okay, yeah, I can go more in depth to that. And that's just like a little step ahead. But as far as aiming goes, Valorant, the way that every map is designed, Riot did a really good job developing their game so that it'd be easier for players to know where to aim. And you must be questioning, okay, so like why does he said that? Why does he know? Well, if you look around at these walls, especially on like certain maps, so like Ascent, you see how there's like these brick walls, and there's a very distinct line that goes across. Almost like a seam, right? Okay, so hear me out, Dactyl. This is a very specific thing. But they did things with purpose in mind, especially for people learning to play the game. Now, if you look at this wall, there's a very distinct line that goes from here to here, right? That's like a very distinct crease, excuse me. And if you look at this door, the same crease, you can see from here to here across like this little level, and this goes throughout the map. If you look around at almost anything, there will be a distinct pattern. Like you can see like a slight line that goes from here to here. And what these lines allow you to do is they're basically guidelines for aiming at head level, and these guidelines will allow you to be able to aim where people's heads are at a like an easier and more precise line. And because people always ask me, they're like, okay, so how do you know where to aim? They did get rid of Wide Joy, very sad. I'm always asked, like, how do you know where to aim? How is it like, how do you aim at head level while consistently walking around? Like, because like you'll see a lot of players while they'll be walking around like looking at the ground like this, be like, okay, and then when they see somebody, they're walking around like this. When they see somebody, they look up. That's not what you want to do. You want to make sure that you have your aim and your crosshair at head level. So Riot decided that it would be a good idea to add in these guidelines everywhere for people to see where head level would generally be. So this is the exact height of a standing player. If you look from a distance, that is where like the head level of a player is. So if somebody's peeking, if let's say, okay, somebody's standing right there and you see this guideline and you're like, okay, I don't know where they exactly are, but if I follow this guideline, there could be someone at that level. If I keep following the guideline, maybe there's somebody there. And obviously, this changes depending on the height of the area and if people are on like boxes or something. So like if I go over here, this is a box that you can jump on top of. This box is going to be at a higher level. But even then, if they're on top of the box, there's still guidelines that you can find that show where their head level is. For example, the top of this box right here allows for like you to see where like their headshot area would be. Everything's made at a precise angle to show where you'd be able to hit that headshot. So like if a player's standing there, that's like a generally like a good spot for like a headshot. And these guys can be found on every single map, by the way, like almost everywhere. Even here, look, there's like this line that if you look, there's a line on the bricks. That's head level. If you could sit and consistently look at these guidelines, even if you might not see them right away, they can really help with your aim and aiming at the head level. Yo, Oleum, I really just butchered your name. But hello, what's going on, man? How's it going? Minecraft keeps crashing, can't make a new world, uninstalling Sag. But yeah, these guidelines are found on every map. There's you can see them. If you really keep your eye out for them, you can see the creases. Even at like a different height level, if you look at the height level, there's like guidelines everywhere. And they'll help you aim for headshots. So even if you're at a different level, okay, that's like head level. You can see the line that goes across. So like, okay, so if you're at a different level and you see that guideline, you can be like, okay, I think they're gonna come from here. And like you can see the guideline. Okay, I think they're gonna come from here. So just paying attention to the small detail, if you're trying to like figure out where to aim, can really be helpful. Like if I don't know where anyone could be on this catwalk area, right? Like this area is called catwalk. But if I'm on the ground here and I'm looking, you can see that there's like lines. So like you have like a line like that. That's around head level. Jack from Farm State, thank you so much for follow. Welcome to the puddle. And that'll give you like these guidelines. And even on the walls, look, there's like this guideline here. So all these small little spots will allow you to better, you know, aim towards that head level area. And eventually you won't have to look at these lines anymore. Eventually you can just be like, okay, I think I know where their head level is going to be. So I can just, you know, sort of predict and move around and be like, okay, so like, that's like about head level. But if you're ever concerned and you ever are like worried and be like, hey, I don't necessarily know if I'm aiming at the right spot, just look for these guidelines. And they're all over the map. You know, you can see like there's a line here that goes across. Just like aim at the bottom of that line and you'll hit a headshot. I guarantee you. If somebody's like around this corner, that's like headshot level right there. And even if you're aiming a little bit above, if you like happen to shoot both, you're good. So yeah, there's a bunch of different ways that you can aim at that head level box. We guarantee right there. Suing if whoa. Hey, just because you miss a shot doesn't mean that you can sue me. I'm just saying. So moving on. We're gonna get into some more stuff. So that's aiming at head level. We talked about, so far we've covered, how to properly aim. Like, so let's say, crosshair placement, that sort of stuff. So like aiming at head level. So like, you know, you see this guideline. Okay. Head level, bam. Keep following it, bam, head level. What else? We've talked about Aim Labs and how Aim Labs is a great program to help you start learning how to aim and how to build that muscle memory so that you can use your sensitivity at a higher level to be able to aim better and use your mouse at a more advanced degree. Let's move on and see what else we can talk about. We're gonna move on to movement, so game movement. So I'm sure playing Valorant or playing any first-person shooter game that has, you know, some degree of player movement, you've heard of the term strafing or counter strafing or just the word strafe in general. And essentially what strafing means is it's the movement of hitting one key to the next to be able to go back and forth. So let's say I want to strafe left to right, so left and then right, and that's essentially what the word strafing means. It just means moving, you know, left to right or right to left, depending on which direction you go. To make people not kill you, you have to kill them first. Gotta be able to kill them first. Let me drink some water real quick. A little dry. Been talking for like almost an hour now. Oh. Okay. Excuse me. You can't though? Well, that's why you're here. I'll learn how to. So movement. A lot of people in, you know, any first person shooter, like I said, have used this word strafing, especially a word counter strafing. And what that entails and what counter strafing entails is being able to stop your movements. I'll do an Oya later, Jake. Actually, let me just, I'll do that in a bit. Try to teach. And basically what counter strafing allows you to do is if you're moving in one direction. So let's say I'm moving to the right here and I want to stop to be able to have my maximum precision. You can counter strafe by hitting the other key to stop your movement. So if I'm moving right to left, it's like in this fashion, and I see someone. So let's say I'm walking left and somebody is over there on the horizon, right? I can see them and I want to be able to stop to shoot them. What you do is something called a counter strafe, which is just hitting the other key in order to stop your movement, which will bring you to a halt. And in Valorant and other tactical shooters, if you have zero movement, you can have 100% accuracy while standing still, or generally like really high accuracy while standing still, you know, depending on the gun. So if I go like this and I hit the D key, I stop my movement, I'll be able to shoot fully accurate. Because moving in games like Valorant or like CSGO, if you move and shoot, your bullets aren't going to go where you aim. They might go around where you aim, but they won't go exactly where you aim. And if they do, it's just a lucky shot. So the idea is by counter strafing, if you want to hit a shot, by counter strafing, you can take your full movement and be able to stop moving so that you can hit that shot. I'll go and pull up a video example with keys to show what that looks like. So let me go ahead and pause this and increase the quality so it doesn't look like garbage. All right, so here's an example of counter strafing in the range. Mind you, these are very old videos, so this was when Valorant was like pretty new. But this is what counter strafe, this is what like moving and shooting looks like if you don't counter strafe. Your bullets are gonna go everywhere. You're gonna have a hard time aiming, and generally it'll be hard for you to get a kill, just like I was showing in a little bit ago. However, if you implement counter strafing, so we go to the next video. If you implement counter strafing, I'll turn the quality up, which is essentially just stopping your movement when you shoot. You'll be able to hit consistent shots for where your crosshair is placed. So, for example, in the range here, if you look at the bottom left, you can see how the movement keys are going. Okay, so I'm moving left using A, and as I want to shoot somebody, I let go of the A key and hit D, and that'll stop my movement so that I can hit a shot and, you know, shoot where my crosshair aims. And it's a pretty hard thing to get down. It is. It's a hard tech to really get a grasp on. But if you consistently do it, it can be very, very good for your gameplay and can really help you win fights if you know, have the proper aim and stuff. So let me go ahead and go into the range just like they were, and I can give an example of what that looks like. So in the range, in the practice rate, screw Minecraft unironically ticked off. They can't make a new world, so sad. So in the range, you can have practice bots, and what this allows you to do is it spawns a bunch of bots for you to look at. I'll go into why the color is purple in a second, but for now we'll just focus on counter strafing. So if I'm moving and shooting, I'm not going to be able to hit very many shots. If I do, it's by luck, you know, because the RNG will make it so that it'll go relatively where I'm aiming, but not exactly where I'm aiming. So even if I'm aiming at head level, so let's see, I'm aiming at the head. If I'm not moving, I have 100% aim, and I can really click and shoot wherever I want. And they'll die, right? Like, the one-shot headshot really makes it easier for you to kill them. Getting on Val, let me know if you need a trading dummy. Will do. It'll really make it easier to hit a headshot. So by counter strafing, so let's say I'm moving in a left movement. If I want to stop to be able to shoot these people, I let go of the A key and quickly hit the right, the D key, to stop my movement, just as this video showed earlier. Let me pull up the video again, just so you can see. If you look at the keys at the bottom left, holding A, let go of A, hit D to stop the movement. You can, and that might be a little bit hard to grasp at the start. Yellow outline, since oh, nice, yeah. So we'll get into color blindness mode in a second. I use yellow and purple because it's just, for me, it's easier to see. But for those of you who have a hard time like figuring out how to counter strafe, another really easy way, instead of letting go of the key, so instead of holding, let's say D, so if I'm walking right, I'm holding D, right? Instead of holding D and then letting go and hitting A to stop your movement, you can also just hit both keys at the same time. So if I'm holding A right here, I hit D, I'll stop my movement. I let go of D, I keep moving. Bam. No. Bam. Personally, it's not as efficient as letting go of both keys, because if you let go of one, you continue to move. So I personally like to go, okay, so let's say I'm holding D, holding D, holding D, let go of D, hit A. I'll stop my movement. Holding A, holding A, holding A, let go of A, hit D, I'll stop my movement. You can do that just by stopping, but it's actually, it cuts your movement down by a decent amount if you counter strafe by hitting that second key. So if I'm just holding D, right, and I stop moving, I go to shoot, it'll work just the same way. It'll work just the same way. But by counter strafing, you can stop your movement like instantly to be able to hit these shots. So that's another tech that's really, really valuable to know in Valorant, and it can also really help you and how you play. It might take a while. It took me a long time to figure out how to do this properly when I was like playing CSGO. And it's a hard tech to really get mastered of, but once you have it down, it can increase your play by so much. And there's another way that you can use this actually. Interfering with stream loading, rip, that sucks. That is unfortunate. But there's another way that you can use counter strafing. And it's in order to clear angles. Now in Valorant, there's a lot of different angles in the map and a lot of different angles in the game where enemies and players can be located. I'm actually going to go over to the next area of this of the training ground so I can really show what that means. So for example, in this area over here, there's a practice mode called Defuse the Spike or Spike Defuse. And what you can do is you can set the difficulty of the bots to whatever you'd like, and select your weapon of any choice. If you click start, you can select your utility and whatnot. So let's say, okay, I want to have full utility, full armor, and let's say Vandal. And what this will do is this will spawn bots around the map. So there's like an area over here that bots will spawn, and they will shoot back at you. They will kill you. So it is a genuine practice mode or trial mode. So if you look over here, there's a bunch of different areas for bots to spawn in. They can spawn here, they can spawn here, here, behind the box. They can spawn right standing here in the corner. There's a lot of areas that they can spawn, right? So using the movement that I just taught, so counter strafing, if I counter strafe quickly in a motion to like really clear the angle slowly, I can stop my movement. Oh, no. That one didn't kill me instantly. Mainly because I shot it. There's something called aim punch in this game that makes it so that they like the aim where you're aiming. If you get shot, your aim will go off a little bit. So for example, or maybe they did make them worse. Oh, they did make them worse. I guess they did. I guess people complained. The hard bots used to just one tap you. For reference, they used to literally just go bonk like that, and you would die. But I guess people complained about it and made it easier. So, but essentially, what you can do by counter strafing, I counter strafe to clear every single angle in this line of sight. I can make it so that I have an easier time, so that I don't have to worry about really taking damage. So okay, I can see that guy's gun, but let's say I don't know he's there. I clear all these angles. I take it slowly, nice. I walk over. Okay, I know this guy's here. Bonk, dead. And then, you know, clear the angles. Howdy, Bach. How's it going? How's it going? So, Bach, to give a recap on what we've done so far, we have gone over proper aiming techniques, such as aiming at head level. We've gone over what enhanced pointer precision is and why you should have it off, especially for games like Valorant. All good on your money. Good luck with work. This video will be uploaded to YouTube later if any of you have questions, or if you just want to see the VOD later. It will be uploaded to YouTube, so don't feel the need to stick around if you have class right now. But hope Valorant class is going well. Thank you, Bach. It is going very well. Thank you for dropping by. So yeah, so we're talking about counter strafing right now, and obviously you can really take it easy and it can help you clear all these angles. Now, another thing in Valorant that is a term that us coaches use a lot is something called slicing the pie. And essentially what slicing the pie is it allows us to clear different angles. So let's say a pie is 360 degrees. I don't know if any of you have taken, like calculus or something about that or anything like that, but let me see. Okay, so I want to just pull up a random picture of this. Works. Cool. Open image in new tab. So 3.14. No, not pi as the number. Pi is in like a circle pie, like an actual pie. When you take pieces of a pie, you make slices, right? The idea is if you have a pie, like let's say an apple pie, pumpkin pie, whatever your favorite pie is, let's say you have a pie, right? If you have a pie and you want to take slices of that pie, Spider-Man math. Yeah, you want to take slices of that pie, and you want to divide it evenly. So let's say you have like 3 people. You want to cut that pie into 1/3 slices. You want to take, you know, like 1/3 of the pie and make it so that it's even for everyone. That's just a really, really easy way to put it. So in Valorant, essentially you have 360 degrees around a person. So let's say this is the center of your person, and you have 360 degrees around you. Let's say half of the pie behind you, which is from this 180 to 0, or I'm sorry, 180 to 360. This area is behind you, you don't have to worry about, but you do have 180 degrees of vision in front of you, which you have to be concerned about. So what the idea behind slicing a pie is you want to take as small of a piece of the pie as you can at a time. So you want to take small angles. So let's say you have like a small, here, I'll give an example. So let's say right here, if I'm standing in the open and there's enemies can be located anywhere from here to there, I'm in range of 180 degrees of the pie. And obviously that's not exact, but I'm in 180 degrees of that pie. If I want to take this easier so that I can have less area to worry about, you want to slice the pie into small slices and take it at a little bit at a time. Essentially what that means is to clear each angle, like instead of peeking it wide at once, you want to take a small angle at a time. So okay, so I'm gonna slice the pie, right? I'm slicing the pie. I'm taking like a small 5-degree angle right here, right? You can only see it from here to here. I've cleared that area. I know no one's there. I keep moving. Okay, I've cleared this area. Do I keep taking it slow? Do I keep clearing the pie until you find someone, right? I'll give an example of that with the bots. So slicing the pie. So let's say I have the small angle, right? Okay, so I see no one's there, right? I keep clearing the pie, looking at that headshot level, keep clearing. I haven't seen anyone, and bam, there's a person, right? So I've cleared the pie, right? I've sliced the pie into the small slices so that I can take it easier and, you know, make it more manageable to approach with. I'm still slicing the pie, take those angles, right? I know where this one is. I need to take that angle. Bam, got one. And then, okay, I don't know where this last guy is. Slice the pie, take that small angle. And then you can be able to find all these small little parts where you can say, okay, now I don't have to worry about, you know, where these people are. I can take it in a smaller and slower position. I'll give a better example of that using a map that people play on. So let's go back to Ascent. Oh, excuse me. A millisecond away from defuse, Sag. Yeah, I know. RIP, RIP. Okay, so once this loads. By the way, if any of you have any questions about Valorant, feel free to ask. I'm late. You're good. You're good, Hyro. All good. Once again, I'm posting this whole VOD to YouTube. I can give a quick recap. Essentially, what we've gone over is how to properly aim. So, you know, building up muscle memory by using something like Aim Labs to figure out where your mouse is pointing when you move your crosshair. Like, you know, moving your mouse, figure out how to aim properly. Yeah, how do I insta-lock jet faster? Getting out insta-locking comp. Ryan, if you have a slow hard drive, you're not gonna be able to insta-lock fast enough, unfortunately. I need to drink some more water real quick. I'm just dying. Give me a second. Yeah. Ryan, if their computers are just faster, you're not gonna be able to lock in fast enough, unfortunately. All right, so to give an example of slicing the pie, let's say this is Haven, or I'm sorry, this is Ascent B site, right? And let's say you're attacking. So, you know, you're coming from the attacker side spawn. Where to be looking at. I can show that in a second. We'll go over more specific stuff after I get over the basic stuff, Felipe. But for now, I just want to touch on the basics. So So essentially what you want to do for slicing the pie, so let's say you're attacking on ascent, you're attacking B site, right? Any advice on how to get better to counter strafe? I seen people like not track and they slow move side to side to click to try to track it while counter strafing. Are you talking moving like this, like walking back and forth like that? Because that's, you know, that's right now I'm just counter strafing, I'm going back and forth. Because we were just talking about counter strafing, so I'm more than happy to go back to that if you're confused. Just let me know. Yeah, if any of you right now, by the way, if you have any questions on basic tech such as like counter strafing or aiming or anything we've gone over, feel free to ask. Okay, so essentially why my crosshair's moving here, if I let go of my mouse, so my hand's off my mouse right now, right? Okay, yeah. So when you're counter strafing, you want to move your mouse to be able to track the headshot, right? So in general, when you're moving, you want to move your mouse. So let's say if I round this corner, I don't want to move out and then look, right? I want to be able to look with the corner, right? Because if I move outwards and then look, you're gonna be able to, like, that's very robotic, you know. You're not gonna be able to clear a lot of angles. So let's say people could be here, you know, could be here, whatever, it could be anywhere here. If I go like this, I'm just gonna be in the open and I'm not gonna be able to you know, easily move my mouse, right? I'm gonna get shot before I see anyone. But if you move with the angle, so let's say I'm just gonna swing this without counter strafing. If you move with the angle, so like you hug your crosshair to the angle and you move with it, you'll be able to position your crosshair where somebody might be ahead of time. Does that make sense? So implementing that with counter strafing. If I go like AD to make sure that I'm accurate when I'm swinging, that's how you do something in order to make sure that you can clear all the angles while keeping your head at the crosshair, like your crosshair at headshot level. So you know you have the guideline still. You see like the crack right here to have that guideline. I think because that's why I struggle most when it comes to duel between two players. I struggle tracking his head and I miss the micro adjustment. Gotcha. Okay. We can go over that more in a little bit. As far as tracking, so let's say, okay, so, you know, I'm keeping my crosshair head level. I'm peeking. There's a, like, let's say there's a guy right, like here in this corner, right? This guy in this corner. If I keep my crosshair at head level, so I know where head level is because I've been keeping a track of the guidelines. I have the guideline here to help me. I've got the guideline there to help me. I can keep following that line, right? We just keep following that line. Be like, okay, no one's there. Keep following that line. Bam, somebody's there. Your headshot, your crosshair is still at headshot level because you've been following those guidelines, right? And even if you aren't consciously doing it, like I don't consciously be like, okay, there's guidelines or whatever. But if you look and you see like, okay, there's a guideline from here to here. That's just like a straight seam across. It's at general head level. If you follow that, okay, and then you move over, you're still at that guideline right there. And you have, let's say somebody's there, you can just quickly try to shoot them, right? And the micro adjustments might be a little bit harder, especially because, you know, if somebody's crouching and stuff, that is all about aiming. That's just the difference between, you know, being able to properly aim and not. So that's why I said to download Aim Labs, because you can help yourself learn how to aim better if you can practice it, you know, by having those orbs. So let's say like Aim Labs has like the orbs that are like, okay, there's one here, one here, one here. If I shoot like that, I'll be able to, you know, keep going back and forth and keep shooting them so that I can get better with aiming. Because positioning your crosshair isn't super hard, you know. If you have those guidelines to guide you and you know where in like you see someone, that just comes down to aiming. Because if you're at crosshair level, so if you're at headshot level, let's say they're here and you're aiming over here and you don't adjust to be able to shoot them, that's just a problem with how you aim and not where you're aiming. Yeah, of course. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. Anyone can ask. I'm not going to go over map specific stuff. Obviously, you saw earlier, I Hate Coffee said how to defend fracture. I'm going to go over more specific stuff like that later on, probably in another day. But right now, I'm just trying to get like the basic stuff out of the way. So that's just for aiming. That's just for aiming. But you know, if you're counter strafing and stuff, if you do counter strafing and you move your crosshair to like clear the corner, okay, like, you know, you're slicing the pie, you find them, okay, then you can like shoot. I'll give an example. I have video examples for this. Hold on. So we talked about slicing the pie. I'll just give a video example of what that looks like. So right here, here's a video example of what bad, like, slicing the pie poorly looks like. So this is a bad example of slicing the pie. So obviously we're in the same spot. This is a set B site. If you swing like this, so look at all the different spots that a player could be in. So there's somebody's here, somebody's in CT, and somebody is over at stairs. And two of them are crouching, right? So that's another level of adjustment. You know, being able to like adjust your aim to be able to shoot somebody who's crouching rather than standing. That's a whole nother thing. That's just, you know, practicing your aim to be able to adjust to the head. But for like where the breach is, because the breach is standing. If they're standing and you adjust to be able to shoot them, you like, you know, that's perfect. You know, you followed the guidelines, you cleared your corner, you hit the headshot. But this is a bad example. Obviously, you know, Reyna gets killed because she swings into 3 people, and that's really hard to fight. But if we go to the good example of slicing the pie, in this example, you can see that they take their corners very slowly. You know, they take everything and they go piece by piece by piece. So if you look here, okay, so they took one corner, they found one person, they took another corner, they found another person, and then they found the third person in this corner. And they took it slowly. They went piece by piece by piece until they were able to clear that entire pie. And that's what slicing the pie refers to. If you're having a problem, like with where to, like how to aim or like, you know, maybe you're going into sight, you'll be like, dang, I'm getting kills really fast. Make sure that you just clear every angle before you go in. It's a pretty simple thought. So let's say you're playing like Neon. Because Neon's new and cool and stuff. You don't want to slide in like this, because look, if you slide in to try to take a fight, you're open to position A, position B, position C, D, E. Like, it's not letting me ping anymore because there's so many angles. You know, behind the boat or behind the stairs, excuse me, at switch over here, you're exposed to every single angle. But if you take your time and you slice the pie, so let's say instead of sliding up, you just, you know, take your time with it. Okay, so clearing my angles. Okay, I cleared this one. I don't see anyone there. I move up. I don't see anybody there. Keep moving over. Don't tell me, don't tell the Neons it's a bad play. Let's say free kills. True. Keep moving. Okay, nobody's there. Nobody's over here. Keep sliding across here over. Nobody's there. Bam, you've cleared all those angles. And if anybody does happen to be in an angle, you know, like this clip shows, you'll be able to tell, because you can shoot. You like, okay, you're moving along, you see one, bam, dead. As long as you keep going at that angle and keep progressing along with your crosshair to slice that pie and make it easier for you to take fights, it'll be easier for you to fear, you know, to be able to get in sight without losing, you know, without dying yourself, and maybe potentially getting kills along the way. Just like that. And that's in addition to, even if you don't counter strafe properly, even if you like hold down the D key, if you like, or like, let's say you're holding down the D key and you hit the A key to stop the counter strafe, like you can still like slowly take it. Might be a little bit harder to do because you've got more moment moving behind you, but to learn, like that's how you learn, you know, like, okay, take it, bam, 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 bam. And then eventually if you get here, you know, they could be over there, they could be over in the corner. So by taking yourself angle by angle, you're subtracting and you're making it so that there's a lot less air that can go wrong. And this is especially good if you're like the entry frag, or if you're like the first person coming into the site, because if you're alone, obviously you have more teammates, more people can help you cut the pie and figure things out. But if you're a single person, you want to take it slow because you don't know where people are. You don't know how many people can like be there to fight you. You want to take it slow, piece by piece by piece. Now the difference is if you have a lot of people with you and you think, okay, if I'm just trying to get information out, so let's say we don't have like information, so we don't have Sova, we don't have Sky, we don't know where people are. You're playing like a character that can just like go in, you can get information and try to reposition, so you can be like, okay, So I peeked all the angles at once. If I didn't die, like I've seen where all of them are, right? Like I can slide across, see where all of them are. So let's say I'm like, okay, somebody's here, here, and here. I can call it to my team. If I have teammates, they can just be like, okay, you know, donk, bonk, 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 easy. But if, as a lone player, if you're alone, you want to take it slowly. You know, you want to take pieces by the pie, slice the pie. Oh yeah, no, definitely. The better you are, so one of the things is the better you are, probably the better your teammates will be. Obviously, if you're alone and you're taking, if you're alone, I think things might be easier because you can literally, if you're better as an individual, if you're better as a single player by yourself, you can take a lot of stuff. So you can be like, okay, I can literally just run and stuff. And if I see somebody, I can just counter strafe and shoot them. Like I can take it like faster. So like, okay, I don't see anyone there. Don't see anyone there. Don't see anyone there. Maybe I see someone there. Maybe I see someone there. You know, you can take it faster. But when you're starting, you want to take it slow. You don't want to overrush things, right? Because what happens if like you overrush it? Like what happens if you like clear 2 angles at once? Like this and this. You go from here to here. You're clearing 2 angles at once. That's gonna be hard, especially if you don't have like the aim to compensate. If you don't have the aim to be like, okay, bam, bam, like 2-tap them, or like try to like get away if you're playing like jet, like, you know, dash back or something. It can be hard. So obviously it gets easier if you're better. But at a beginner level, you want to make sure you take things but slowly. And you know, if you need to, use those guidelines. You know, you have a guideline right here to aim at head level. So keep your crosshair on that guideline. Okay, bam, nobody's there. Move it up, see the next guideline. Okay, there's that window right there. Next guideline, nobody's there for headshot level. Move it back down to the other guideline. Okay, I don't see anyone. Keep moving. Somebody might be there. Okay, great. You've cleared all these angles. You've used the guidelines. And now you can, you know, you can find that headshot. Keep moving along that guideline. Maybe somebody's there. Somebody's there. Hey, nobody's there. Great, you can go in. And this is obviously, this is if you're alone. If you got a lot of people with you, you might not want to take it as slow because they can compensate for the fact that if somebody's in another area, you can go faster. So like, if I have 2 people here, or like, if my whole team is here, if I've got like 5 people here, we're like, okay, we're doing a B rush. Let's go, let's go, let's go. We're doing a B rush. No, getting into like a further in position might be a better thing to do because if there's somebody in, you know, market or somebody CT, then your teammates might be able to kill them before you do. Especially if you've got like 3 people swinging. Because if you got 3 people in this area, so let's say in this clip earlier, showing the bad example, again, go here, bad example. If you have 3 people, so let's say this guy swings, there's 3 people here. If you have 3 people, you can do things and like shoot, you know, shoot back. Like all 3 of these. So you got, let me turn the quality back up. Got 1 person, 2 person, 3 person. Like you can hold more angles and you can cover more stuff. So that's that. Oh, water. Excuse me. All right, so we've gone over counter strafing. We've gone over aiming. We've gone over head level, you know, aim positioning. And we've gone over slicing the pie. Now for me, those are like the very, very basics of the game. If you can get those down at a high level, you can really do anything. You can go so far with just that tech alone. If you can master that tech, if you can master your aim, master how to like properly clear angles and keep your crosshair at a head level, you can play really, really well. Especially if you know you're playing at a high level. Like you can easily get to a higher level just by like, you know, being able to get better at it. Because the more you do things like this, the more you burn it into muscle memory, and the more you like just do it subconsciously, the better you'll get. It's like at my level, I don't use these guidelines. I don't say, okay, I need to look here for a head level and go from there. No, I just go. Okay, I know where the head level is. I can take things faster. And it's easier for me because I have that experience. But to start, you need a foundation to start on, right? If you don't know how to aim at head level, you have these guidelines and they're there for you to use. you don't know how to like properly counter strafe, you can hold another key instead of just letting go of both and going back and forth. You can hold another key. So learning from the ground up is really important. And once you get those basic techniques down, it can be a lot easier for you to play the game, and you might be able to get to a better level if you keep practicing and doing better. Now, does anybody have any questions about what we've gone over so far? Like I said, we've gone over counter strafing, we've gone over you know, keeping your crosshair at head level, how to properly aim, like what sensitivity and DPI is. Anybody else have any questions? Because I can go over pretty much anything at this point. I might have some more stuff about like trading and stuff, but I'll go over that in a second. I'll go over spray control next. I think that's the next thing we'll touch on. I know we're not talking about util here, but I never realized how much faster it is to do stuff with util. Yeah. Can we go be bad at Val? Dactyl, I'm not done. I've got so much more. I have so much more to teach. This is just the basics of FPS. I haven't even got into utility or anything like that. This is just a basic level of you know, of first-person shooters. And obviously, it does get easier with util. It's like I can bounce like, oh, that miss. I can bounce something to make it so that somebody in that angle or that corner is stunned, you know? So that way it's easier for me to clear. You know, utility is a lot more helpful to do. All right, Dactyl, if you want to go play, sure, go ahead, man. Good luck with your games. I wish you the best. Kick some ass. We've been doing God's work for real, for real. For real. So yeah, so we've gone over basics. If we don't have any questions about that, I'll go more into gunplay and like spray control and stuff like that, because every weapon's different and Valorant is very, very unique in the way that it is. But learning how to shoot your gun properly and how to spray is pretty important because each gun is different, you know? So if we don't have any more questions about, you know, the basics of FPS, I'll go more into like Valorant specific stuff. I'll just give it a couple minutes in case, you know, people want to figure things out. Exposed as a free agent and finding a team. I don't necessarily know if I'll be doing that this stream, just because I'm going over like super basic level stuff. Specifically, if I'm so poop I can't control the spray like I can with the Vandal. Yeah, we'll go over that. We'll go over that. And it's weird to say this, but technically the Phantom is easier to spray control because it has less recoil. But we'll go over more of that in a second. Oleum. I'll probably be doing more stuff like that because that's more higher level stuff later on. But if like, I can go really quickly over it. How to get exposed more as a free agent. If you want to find a team, Twitter has a very, very large body of free agent community. Go to Twitter. There's an account called Hitbox Val. Here, let me go to Twitter real quick. Hitbox. Bam. Okay, so this Twitter account right here, Hitbox Heroes, is essentially the North American Valorant esports support account and free agent organization. And essentially what this account does is all it is about free agent Valorant. So if you want to like find a team and you need a team to play with, go to this account, make a post. So okay, it's like, okay, so let's say Illusion Academy is currently looking for a trial Sova player for upcoming VCT tournaments. They're looking for experience. They're looking for at least how much RR last act, how much availability you are, how old you are, and then to ask you to DM. And all you have to do is like tag the hitbox. So you just go to that person's account and DM them. Turush is actually a really cool guy. And a lot of people, look, these are like 42 minutes ago. There's a bunch of posts. So this is a really good area and a really good spot to go if you're looking to get on a team. But getting back to basic stuff, since that was just something quick. Spray pattern and spray control. I'm gonna go back to the range for that. How does it talk? All right. Full kick. We'll go into the range and we'll discuss spray patterns and how to control spray. Ollie aim. Ollie, how old are you? How old are you? Because finding a free agent team is pretty hard if you're under the age of 16. Just a heads up. My spray stuck to the Vandal. Phantom is easy. True, true. Finding a free agent team, if you're under the age of 15, it's gonna be hard. Head out. Where do I find the YouTube video? Is it the same name as here? You're 17? Perfect. That's awesome. Yeah, so it'll be on the same name as here. Here, I can go ahead and post my YouTube account if you want. I have no YouTube videos uploaded to it or anything. Brand new account, but when the stream is over, I'll be uploading it to the account. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna create a custom link so that y'all can find it easier. Branding, basic info, channel URL. Here we go. What do I guess I can't change it yet. But this is the YouTube account. If any of you have to go, the VOD of this stream will be uploaded to YouTube. You can scroll through it. It'll have everything we've gone over today. It'll be on that YouTube account. Part-time Valencia student too. Oh, I gotcha. I was gonna try out for UCF, but I'm finishing high school still. Gotcha. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Well, we do tryouts every fall semester, and I think we actually just held tryouts for spring semester for UCF. Very cool. But getting into spray patterns. So if you open the gun menu, there's a lot of really cool and interesting statistics over here on the right side for each gun. So let's say I hover over like the Vandal. If I click the Vandal and I hover over the Vandal, and like its stats, if you look over here to the right, you have a bunch of stats. So you've got fire rate, you've got run speed, first shot spread, your equip speed, your reload speed, and your magazine size, and then a bunch of damage values down here for with a distance above it. And also like a bunch of other random statistics about alt fire and some other stuff. All these stats are really important, and mean a lot, especially with gunplay and Valorant. So, for example, your fire rate. Your fire rate is how many rounds per second you can shoot. So the Vandal shoots 9.75 rounds per second. So if I hold down in 1 second, it'll shoot around 10 bullets. In 1 second, it'll shoot around 10 bullets. The Phantom, on the other hand, shoots 11 rounds per second. So almost as much, just like 2 bullets more, which means it shoots faster. But if you look at the statistics for the Vandal and the Phantom, they have almost identical run speed, right? They have identical run speeds, identical equip speeds, and reload speeds. So that means equip speed is pulling your weapon out. So it takes 1 second to fully pull the gun out before you can start shooting. For example, that 1 second, I'm holding down in 1. See, it takes 1 second to be equipped. And then it has 2.5 seconds for reload. So if I were to turn infinite ammo off, let's say infinite ammo's off, to shoot, it takes 2.5 seconds to fully reload the weapon before it starts shooting again. I'm holding down on 1. Once that's done, you can see it start shooting. Additionally, the Vandal compared to the Phantom has less rounds. So the Vandal has less bullets than the Phantom does. The Phantom can hold 30 bullets in each magazine, and the Vandal can only hold 25. Some other I can't talk. Some other statistics you'll see between the two rifles is first headshot spread, or first shot spread. And what that means is that when you shoot the gun, Valorant has a very unique thing to the genre called first shot spread. And essentially that means is that wherever you aim, there is a percentage of air where the bullet will not go where you're aiming. So for example, there's a 0.25 air on the Vandal. So when I fire the Vandal, it might not go exactly where I'm aiming. So if I'm aiming my first shot, you see how that's barely off? If I walk forward, I'm not going to move my mouse. You see how that's not where my crosshair was? That's like to the bottom left, right? So there's an error whenever you shoot. So if you're shooting somebody and you like, dang, why did my shot miss? Why Why is it not always hitting? So let's say I go to 50 meters out. I'm aiming at his head, right? You can see my crosshairs on his head. You see 160. I hit him, right? 160. 200. 300. See that 7th shot missed. That shot missed. My crosshair has not moved, by the way. But because of that error, it might not always hit. And that's just a very specific thing that's in Valorant. Like that shot right there, that missed. That didn't hit. That just hit his body. My crosshair is still on his head. So there is a very small error when shooting these guns in Valorant that cause you so that you might not be 100% accurate like you think you might be. And those things might be something that you want to take note of. And this is why spray control is so important. Because if you're shooting at somebody and you miss that first shot, what are you going to do? You know? Like, okay, I shot my shot and now I missed. So what are you going to do afterwards? What spray control is each gun has a recoil pattern that you can visibly see. Corey Cat, thank you so much for follow. I scream, ah, hello, like a little bitch. Why? What's up, Corey? What's up? What's going on, homie? So as far as recoil control goes, if you hold down M1 against the wall, you can see the pattern of where the gun goes. So at first, it's a very vertical spray pattern with a horizontal degree at the top. And you can see it's the same thing, very vertical with horizontal at the top. However, compared to other guns, to other games like CSGO and stuff, and other tactical shooters like, or not tactical shooters, but just other guns from games. So like even Apex guns have spray patterns. In Valorant, it's a very unique thing, but Valorant spray patterns are dynamic, which means they change every time you shoot the gun. The only thing that will stay static is the the vertical aspect of the gun. So the vertical aspect is that those first 9 to 10 bullets right here, they see in a straight line, that will always be the same. You see, it's that very straight line. It'll always be the same. So in order to control that spray, what you have to do is you have to very slightly pull down on your mouse while you shoot. And I'm not controlling the horizontal yet. I'm just showing the vertical. So if I back up a little bit, the vertical, I can control those first couple shots. And then after those first 9 shots, it'll pull into whatever direction. So you can control it a little bit. Those first 9 shots are really easy to control. Because all you're doing is you're just pulling down. You're just aiming and pulling down. Nope. Just aiming and pulling down. Now, when it gets to that randoms part at the top, where you see it pulls right to left or left to right, which is dynamic. You see how that's very random? Watch, I'll show you again. I'll go over here. See how it's different every time? Well, in order to predict how the gun is going to shoot in Valorant, there's a really, really convenient, easy way. And I'm actually going to have to move out of the way for this. Let me just quickly disable myself so you guys can see the gun. Whoa. Hold on, give me 1 second. Okay, so a really easy way to control this and to figure out where to shoot is when you're shooting the gun. So if you look at the Vandal right now, when I shoot, if you look at the gun, don't look at where the bullets are going, look at the gun, you'll see the gun pull left or right in a random, in a direction. And it's very obvious. Like there, it like pulls right, pulls left, pulls right again. I'll do it again. Pulls left, pulls right, and then it stops. Show it once more. Pulls left, pulls right, pulls left. So you can see that it pulls in a certain direction. Now, in order to stop that spray from going in a random direction, you can actually control it by pulling in the opposite direction the gun is pointing. So if you're just looking at the gun, don't look at where the bullets are going, just look at the gun, pull down, I can pull right, pull left, and then that'll make it in this tight little circle. Pull down, pull right, pull left. And the gun will spray and it'll show a different direction every time. So if I'm just looking at the gun, I'm not even looking where my bullets are going. Pull down, pull right, pull left. And that'll make it into this tight little circle as compared to just letting it go. You see the difference in the pattern? See that tight little circle right there compared to this mess on the wall. Now the same thing goes for the Phantom. The Phantom, just like the Vandal, has a slight inaccuracy. It's technically more accurate than the Vandal in the first shot. So if I send somebody out to like way far and I aim at their head, my first shot will almost always hit compared to the Vandal. Like you see that one just miss. That miss. But it will very likely be more accurate than the Vandal by like 0.05% compared to the Vandals, 0.25. So it's more accurate. Additionally to being more accurate, it shoots faster and has a much easier to control recoil pattern. So if I go like this, let me reload real quick. If I shoot here at the wall, the recoil pattern is a lot smaller than the Vandals. And I'll show the Vandals exactly the same. See how much higher the Vandal goes? The Vandal goes way higher. You see that big gap right there where it jumps? Now I'm aim at the same spot where I started. And I'll go over a little bit. See how much higher the Vandals was? The Vandals was like up here and the Phantoms is down here. Now the Phantom has a much easier spray to control because A, it shoots faster and it has a lot less vertical recoil than the Vandal does. So I shoot at the wall. You see, you have to pull down. You have to pull down a lot less right there than the Vandal. Now I'll shoot those first 9 bullets again real quick. I'll show that again. Those first couple bullets. The Vandal goes higher if you look. It might not be super easy to see, but the Vandal does go higher. So it's the same idea though. The same idea to control the Phantom and the Vandal is you pull down and then you just control based off of where the gun pulls. The Phantom will start pulling in a different direction much sooner than the Vandal though. So down, left, and just looking at the gun, not even looking where the bullets are going. Look at the gun. You can see that it pulls a lot more and a lot quicker. It'll change a lot faster, but it's a lot easier to control. See that? Now both of the guns are random, like I said earlier. So the Vandal has a random spray pattern, the Phantom has a random spray pattern, even something like the Spectre. So the Spectre is an SMG. It still has a spray pattern. Like it's very, very small. Still has a spray pattern, but it's very easy. It's still random. Like if I pull down, you'll see it pulls right to left to right to left. Like whatever random. Like pull down, it just goes in a random direction. So every gun has a spray pattern to it, even like the big ones. Even the Guardian. The Guardian, which is a semi-automatic weapon in Valorant, and it's one of the most accurate weapons in the game because it has a 0%, like a 0.1% air with hip firing, and if you ADS, it's 0%. So this will always hit where your crosshair's aiming if it's the first shot. Always. It will not go elsewhere off your crosshair. It'll always go to where your crosshair's aiming. But if you spam it, if you watch where you spam it, it actually follows the crosshair or like the same spray pattern to like the Vandal or the Phantom. It's like if you look, Vandal goes up, it goes up and does a random pattern. If you look at the Guardian spray, if I just spam it, it goes up and then it pulls into a random direction. And like pulls right or left. Now obviously you don't have to spray with the Vandal. You're not the Guardian. You're not going to be spamming and like trying to control that. But that's just an example. Every gun has a spray pattern to it. So if you can learn how to spray control these and how to control these different sprays, you can get really good at using these weapons. For example, the Bulldog. Hold down and then just follow the way that the gun pulls. Hold down and then follow the way the gun pulls. Hold down. Follow the way the gun pulls. So all these weapons have a very similar spray pattern. So I'll clear that. I'll send it out 30 meters. Now the only issue is that the further away an object is, the harder it is going to be to control your spray. For example, really close. I I can make this phantom spray like a dot, right? Super tight, really easy, really concise. 10 meters out. It's a little harder, but still manageable. 20 meters out. Still should be manageable at this distance if you can control. But you see how much wider it gets? It's a lot harder to control. And 30 meters out, it's going to be a lot harder. It's still manageable, but you see how it gets a lot harder to control, especially all along that horizontal axis. So at long ranges like these, instead of spraying your gun, it's a lot better of an idea to just try to like quickly go for like little small like 2-round bursts. Because that way you can keep your accuracy up while still hitting your target. And it'll be a lot easier to hit your target. Because if I spray at this guy, I'm gonna miss a lot more shots than if I just like tap fire. The same goes with the Vandal. Vandal, up close. A lot easier to control the spray, right? Go to immediately to 20. It gets a lot harder, you see? Go to 30. It's a lot harder. See how much spread that has on it? So when they're farther out, it's a lot better to do like quick little bursts, like 2-3 rounds. Because at that point, you're only having the vertical recoil. When it's farther, when it's not super far away, you only have the, when it's like the small bursts, you still have that vertical recoil instead of the horizontal. It's like we showed here. It takes about 9 bullets to get into that pull horizontal. So I shoot like 9 bullets or 4 bullets. I can shoot like a couple bullets and still be pretty accurate. So that's spray control. If you have any questions about spray control, I can go more in depth into it a little bit. Pretty straightforward. The idea is that you want to be able to control the way the gun pulls, and the gun will show you how it pulls. So even if you use like your peripheral vision, like just looking at it out of the corner of your eyes, you'll be able to see which way the gun pulls, right or left. Ah, I'm back. So we have any questions about spray control? Does that help a little bit? Adventurous Bee? Does that answer anything? I hope that answers your question. I hope that gives a little bit more help as to why it might be harder to spray the Phantom for you than the Vandal. Because it does pull more. But it should be, eventually, if you spray both, it should be better. Actually, you know how people wall bang others in the game? Sometimes I do that, but so like so bad. I feel like it needs to nerf hitting them. Yes, sir. Okay, awesome. So you know how. We'll go into wall banging right now, actually. That's a really good spot to transition. Let me turn off this audio real quick. 1 second. Need to take something care of real quick. There we go. Okay, so Haven the God map wallbangs. Yeah, so wallbangs are very interesting in Valorant. Now in Valorant, if we look at the stream, and we go back to our gun menu, every gun, if you look at the top right, has a penetration value. Yes, this is going to be made into a VOD. So it's going to be uploaded to YouTube, and before it's uploaded to YouTube, this VOD will be saved on Twitch for, I think it's 6 months or so. But I will be uploading this to YouTube eventually. Yeah, so if you look at the top right, this value right here is how much penetration your weapon has. So the classic, the shorty, all the pistols most of the pistols have low penetration. Stinger has low penetration, like SMGs have low penetration. So if you look at low penetration value, that determines how thick of a like a wall you can shoot through. So for example, if I get the Spectre real quick, if you look at this wall, this brick wall, if I shoot at this wall, the bullets will glow orange. And that orange glow means that I cannot shoot through that wall. However, if I go over to a like a wooden material, so let's say this door right here, it'll shine. It won't shine. There will be no shine. So look, no shine, no shine. There's the shine. So shine. See how it reflects orange? So that orange reflection means that you can shoot through that wall with your weapon. So let's give some examples of that. So we're gonna do wall bangs. Let's see. Where are my videos? All right. So here is what wall banging examples looks like, especially in Valorant, because we'll go through the different examples of what guns look like when you shoot at a wall and how it looks like when you can and can't. So for example, here we have a Vandal and an Odin. This is on Ascent at B site. There's this little animal right here that can present if you can like a small spot that you can shoot through the wall. Hazumi, hello, welcome. Thank you for following and welcome to the puddle. Currently we're going over as a recap for those of you just joining, if you are just joining now, like Hazumi, what we've gone over currently up to this point is we started with going over how aiming and mouse sensitivity works. So sensitivity, DPI, why you should disable enhanced pointer precision in your mouse settings, just a bunch of different stuff like that. And then we went over how to properly build muscle memory for mouse movement. So using a program called Aim Labs, which is free on Steam, really suggest you download it if you don't already have an aim trainer. It can really help with how you can control your aim and can make it so that your muscle memory gets built at a faster rate than just playing the game normally. After that, we went into movement, such as counter strafing and just strafing in general, and how to use your A and D key to move like that and make it so that you can have those strafing movements. And then alongside that, we also went over how to aim at head level, because aiming at head level can be a little bit hard at the start, and figuring out where to aim properly can be difficult. And one of the things that we talked about is there are guidelines across the map, which I'll go over after I talk about wall bangs again, that allow you to aim at head level easier. After aiming at head level, we went into something called slicing the pie, which allows you to take angles at a smaller level so that you can easily clear more corners. Okay, so to recap on turning off pointer precision. So what enhanced pointer precision on your computer does is essentially it makes it so that your computer tries to compensate for your mouse's speed and movement. So if you move your mouse really, really quickly to like a certain spot, it will accelerate your mouse's speed on the computer to try to compensate for the speed of you moving your mouse. So enhanced pointer precision, if you move your mouse slowly, it'll move your mouse slowly. But so like here, if you move your mouse slowly, because you can see my mouse on this screen right here, if you move your mouse slowly, it'll move your mouse slowly. But if you make like really fast movements, like I'm going quickly back and forth like this, if I had enhanced pointer precision on, it would slide my mouse further away from where I was trying to point, because it was trying to anticipate where your pointer or your crosshair would be, depending on your mouse's movement. So if you turn that off, you're just getting the raw input of your mouse movement, which is much better for first-person shooters, whether it's Apex, Valorant, CSGO, Overwatch. It's just better to use because raw input means that you can really control where your mouse is aiming and there's no randomness to it. And I can really quickly show where to find that as well. Obvious Rice, hello, welcome Rice. Thank you so much for follow. Let me go to, it's really obnoxious, but essentially what you do to find it is you go to your devices. So you go to your Windows setting, go to your devices, go to mouse, and then go to additional mouse options. And now that I have that window up, let me go ahead and I'll just change this window capture to find it, because all right, so what it'll look like this. Go to your pointer options, and this little checkbox here is enhanced pointer precision. So normally it'll be defaultly on, and what it'll look like if I move really small movements like this, if I do really slowly, you'll see that it keeps it really slow. But if I do a fast movement, it'll start sliding my mouse. Like I did, like it just slid randomly there. So by turning enhanced pointer precision off and clicking apply and okay, Strange Bomber, hello, how you doing? But by turning that off, it allows you to have greater control and raw input of your mouse to your computer. So that way you don't have that randomness when you aim and you try to do like these quick flicks, and it'll be a lot better. Additionally to that, let me go ahead and just click OK, and then it's gonna probably freak out because I have the window capture on that. We'll go back to this. Cool. I think, where did it go? Maybe not cool. I have to re-add my window capture. Add Firefox. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Yeah, all good. Hey, no worries. I tried to make an announcement. I'm gonna be doing something like this every Thursday for the next probably 6 weeks, as long as I don't have school or class or anything like that. And I'll be going over more and more advanced stuff as we go on, but right now I'm just going over like the basics of Valorant and the basics of FPS genre. So the VOD will be uploaded to YouTube as well as being on Twitch for however long the Twitch allows VODs to be staying up. So if you want, you can share it to friends, but it will be uploaded to YouTube. Yeah, so essentially raw input buffer, which is what's on no, okay, so Rice, that's what I was about to go to. So raw input buffer is the exact same thing as turning enhancer pointer precision off. So if you don't already have the enhancer pointer or enhanced pointer precision turned off on Valorant or like on your computer, what essentially this raw input buffer does is it will disable enhanced pointer precision for Valorant. So that way, if you have it on, it'll just take your raw buffer or your raw input. So technically it's the same thing. If you have it on and you turn enhanced pointer precision off, it won't do anything. But if you have enhanced pointer precision on and you turn this on, it'll get rid of your enhanced pointer precision, if in case you don't want it on. Or in case you don't want to turn it off on Valorant. Oh wait, I did not have that on stream. My apologies. Here, right here. This setting right here. If you don't want to turn enhanced pointer precision off on your computer for whatever reason, personally, I would suggest to anyways, because it might affect other programs. I just like having raw input. This will basically get rid of that enhanced pointer precision and will make it so you're taking raw input without turning the setting off. So yeah. So that is that. Yeah, you can have it on. I mean, I have it on. I don't really, there's no real difference if you turn enhancer pointer precision off, but I mean, having it on isn't a bad thing if in case you want it. Even if you have enhanced pointer precision off, it's still good. So I just have it on. Let's leave it on. Okay, so getting back to what we've covered so far. So Strange Bomber, if you want to watch back the VOD, I'm just gonna briefly go over what we've gone over. We went over mouse settings and like what sensitivity and DPI is. We went over at the very beginning, we went over the history of FPS. So like talked about how Doom was like one of the first FPS in the genre and how these genres have evolved and stuff. We went over to mouse sensitivity and DPI and how like, yeah, raw good, enhanced bad. We went over that stuff. We also went over how to aim at head level, which was one of the first things that we started at with aiming, which we'll briefly over that as well. I'll go ahead and start it. Because one of the hardest things in Valorant that I've been asked as a coach is, okay, coach Reed, how do you aim at head level? And the easiest way to explain it is that there are guidelines on every single map that Riot has intentionally put into the game to make sure that people know where to aim. It's really, really small details. It's very hard to notice, And unless you're looking out for it, you won't necessarily like recognize that it's there intentionally until you realize, hey, this is the same height as a player. So once this loads, I'll show what that looks like.
That was stupid.
And then I'll get back to talking about wall bangs and stuff. But essentially, if you look at the walls, they're like on, especially like Ascent and Split and stuff, or maps with bricks, there are going to be lines everywhere. So right here, like this line right here, this is a guideline to allow you to aim at a head level so that you know where enemies may be. So like if I'm aiming at this head level, this will, if somebody walks around this corner and I'm aiming to where this line is and just going off, that'll be a headshot level. There are also head levels for positions where you're higher up. So for example, if I'm on this box, there's a guideline right here so that anyone who's looking up at the box can shoot or like try to like aim right there. Same thing with over here. If like somebody's on this box, the top of this curtain is like a guideline for a headshot. Let's say I go ahead and go over here. If I'm looking at B main, this wall right here has a guideline right here that aims off. There's a line right from here to here. If you look at the wall right here, there's like some of these walls have creases that allow you to see like the guideline. So there are guidelines everywhere to help you aim at that head level. And even like here, you can see right here, guideline here, off like the certain spots. So like off this archway right here, that's like head level. So if you aim at like the arch, if you aim for like catwalk, they added like right here, they add like that. So if you're looking up that head level line right there, you just shoot right along that line and you'll hit a headshot. They have these things intentionally placed on every map so that you can easily guide yourself to head level. There's this line right here. So if you're like first peeking, you don't know if you're at head level, there's this line right that literally tells you, hey, this is head level. So you can aim along that line or a little bit below and you'll hit a headshot. And then you can adjust. Like there's a line right there. There's a line that goes like where that brick is, points off. It's very, very unique details and very, very good like game design mechanic that Valorant and like Riot has intentionally put in to make it so that it's easier for players to, and like especially newer players, to figure out where that headshot level is. Like there's like this little crack here that shows there's like if you're coming in, this is a little bit lower, but it's around headshot level. There's that. If you look up, there's that little line up there that shows. They're very small, minute details, but they can really help enhance your gameplay if you're trying to look to, and like pre-aim where a player might be for headshots. Another thing I suggest to aim at that head level is to just practice running around maps, looking at head level and like figure out where. I start just going into like deathmatch and just running around. And you don't necessarily need to kill people, but like just running around and trying to like look at where like head level might be so that you can like eventually just unconsciously do it without needing those guidelines. Because these guidelines are everywhere. Okay, moving on after guidelines and headshot levels and stuff, we were talking about spray control. So essentially how spray patterns work with like certain walls and stuff, or not walls, but like how to control spray. So like every gun has a spray pattern. Every gun has a spray pattern. That's initially the first like 9 or 8 bullets are vertical and then it's randomly horizontal. And the way that you can figure out how to control that is if you look at your gun, you can actually see which way it pulls. So you just pull in the opposite direction and it'll be able to spray better. Last time I turned myself off to show that. Another thing we talked about was counter strafing and strafing and how to deal with that. So basically like AD and AD, like how to stop your movement. And I'll just go ahead and pull up that video because we already have the videos up. Because I'm going to show another video anyways. So, let's see. Just quickly going over. There is counter strafing. Here it is. So this is a video of good counter strafing. If you look at the bottom left, it has inputs of the mouse and keyboard to show what it looks like when you counter strafe. So to stop your movement, you're like, if you're walking left, you'd hit D, and if you're walking right, you'd hit A to stop that movement. So we've got videos like these. So this is what good counter strafing looks like and why it's an advantage. Because if you don't counter strafe, we have this alternate video right here. This is what it looks like if you don't counter strafe. You're going to be missing a lot of shots. It's going to be hard to control. Valorant is really about movement. So if you're not moving, you're more accurate. That's the whole idea behind like counter strafing. Is the idea is to stop yourself so you can easily shoot. So that's what we've gone over for counter strafing. Spray pattern, I've already just talked about it. You know, spraying at the wall, watching the way gun pulls to be able to figure out how to control the spray of the gun. And now we are talking about wall bangs. So every single gun in Valorant has a different penetration level. And if you look at here, I'll go to OBS. If you look up at the buy menu of each weapon, at the top right, it shows the medium. It'll say like like low, medium, or high, and that'll basically tell you what level of penetration it is for that weapon. So low penetration weapons can only penetrate through weak materials such as like wood or like small corners of walls. Medium penetration can penetrate through like certain brick walls or like certain harder materials like brick and stuff, and like plastic, as well as like wood, like the light materials can. And high pen weapons can penetrate through basically any walls. They can penetrate through metals, can penetrate through like concrete, all these different things. So getting back to the video that we have here, this is an example. We have a Sova. You're gonna see 3 people in B main, and he's gonna try shooting through a wall with a medium penetration weapon such as the Vandal, and then with a high penetration weapon such as the Odin. And you'll see the difference. Now, when a weapon cannot penetrate through a wall, the bullet mark on the wall will glow orange. As you can see right here, it'll glow orange. And that means that you cannot shoot through that wall. But if it's like sort of see-through, you'll be able to shoot through it. For example, right here, the Odin can easily spray through the wall. You see there's like a hole mark rather than like a sheen. And I'll go ahead and show that in game as well. Like in Valorant, if I open Valorant up, spray at the wall, that orange right there means that I can't shoot through it. And if you look, the marks are like more so like impact marks rather than penetration marks. So like that compared to that. Look, this is much darker looking. It's much darker looking. It has a hole showing that it penetrated. And this does not. And it also has an orange sheen to show that you can't shoot through it. Now, the interesting thing about Valorant is that most corners of walls can be shot through with any weapon. So if you're looking at the corner of a wall, almost any corner can be shot through with a weapon of any pen. So for example, this corner of the wall, a classic, the lowest penetration weapon, is penning through the wall and hitting this Omen, who is standing behind the wall. The Vandal can do the same, as well as the Odin or Op, whichever high pen weapon you want to use. It'll be a Sheriff. And you can see that it does it easier. So depending on the penetration for corners, it doesn't really make a difference. So like if I go to my game, yeah, I have my game up showing. I did show this, I think, right? I probably didn't because it wasn't showing. But going through this again, classic can pen through the wall, like corners of walls can be penned through any weapon. So that's the classic, which is the lightest penning weapon in the game. Medium penning with the Vandal, and then he'll pull out the Odin, and you'll see with the Odin, it just melts through the wall. Cool. Now going back to Valorant. So let's say we have the corner of a wall right here. Right here, the classic cannot go through, but because this is the corner of the wall on the edge, you can see that the classic can pen through the wall. So if somebody was standing right behind this wall, and you could see their gun, you could shoot through with pretty much any weapon, even like a shorty, and it'll go through that wall to the other side to be able to pen. So corners are pennable by any weapon in the game. But that goes for like the frenzy too. So like this goes for any corner of a wall. You can see how it's not shining like the orange. I shoot there, it's orange, straight black. Shoot straight through these corners. So wall corners can be penned by any weapon. So that's a useful tip to know. Another thing that we went over beforehand that I actually forgot to touch back up on for all the new people coming in is we went over something called slicing the pie. And essentially it's an advanced way to, or not advanced way, it's an easier way to clear angles. So on a pie, like let's say an apple pie, pumpkin pie, whatever your favorite pie is, a pizza pie, any pie, you have 360 degrees to make up a circle, right? Now when you're cutting a piece of a pie off, you're cutting a certain degree out of that pie to make it so that it's either a small or big slice. For example, if you take 180 degrees off of a pie, you're taking half of that pie away. Or if you're taking 90 degrees, you're taking a quarter of that pie out. Now the idea is, in Valorant, let me go over to OBS real quick. In Valorant, there are a bunch of angles. So anything behind you, so like, let me pull up OBS again real quick. So this front angle right here, so 180 degrees is like that entire angle from in front of you. So from directly to your left to your right, that 180 degrees is all in front of you. And the other 180 you won't be able to see because it's behind you. So right now, I've got 180 degrees of vision from here to here, and I'm just standing in the open. Now, there are a lot of different angles that enemies can be in, right? There's logs that people can be in. There's market, CT, there's market stairs. There's stairs on site. There's the switch. There's like the corner switch. There's a bunch of places for people to be, right? So if you take all these angles at once, you're putting yourself in a really, really bad position to take a fight. And I have an example of that real quick. Let me show. Bad slice. So, for example, in this video, we have Arena, who is going to try to take a fight out of B main. And if you look, when he peeks. Oh, it's buffering. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay, let me refresh the page real quick. Because I have been showing stuff for like the last couple hours, so it might be pulling on my internet, but that's all good. So if you look, Reyna's going to be swinging this wall right here. God, it's just buffering. So sorry. And when she swings, she takes all 180 degrees of angles at once. So look, she's not trying to clear anything, and instantly she's killed by 3 enemies who are in 3 different positions. Now you've got one in market, one CT, and one over at stairs. And even the CT player and stairs player are crouching, so they're at different levels of height. However, if you were to take this by slicing the pie, so by taking smaller angles at a time and clearing out these corners one by one by one, and this video does it really fast. I'll show it again in game at a slower pace, but by slicing the pie and taking smaller angles at a time, you can really get an easier fight to make it so that you don't have to be in these perilous positions of fighting 3 people at once or 4 people at once, depending on how many people are there. So slicing the pie is a really good, an easy way to understand clearing angles one by one by one. Let me go here real quick. Ooh. After. Okay, so if I open Valorant, a really easy way to do this is to counter strafe really quickly. So you're gonna it's gonna look like you're sort of wiggling. You can see my gun is going really quickly because I'm doing AD. But if you take really slow angles at a time, you can clear a lot more than you would if you just swung everything at once. You can take, certain angles very quickly and you can clear out for enemies. It's like, okay, nobody's logs, nobody market stairs, CT's clear, stairs is clear, I don't see any boat. So instead of swinging all these angles at once, I'm taking it one by one by one by one. I already went over this earlier, and I was saying this is especially good if you're alone or if you're lurking and you're playing just by yourself. If you're alone here and like you don't know where the enemy is and your teammate is like at A site, they're all the way over there. Maybe you're trying to get a pick, maybe you're trying to get a kill. It's just an easy way to make it so that you don't have to clear all these angles at once. Or if you have all your team here and you're trying to go out fast, you can just like try to clear angles like crazy fast and just do stupid stuff as long as your teammates are there to trade you. And that leads us to another good angle to talk about something new. Trading. So trading in Valorant is a very unique situation where essentially you're making a deal. So a good way, trading in the past, you know, if you give something, you're supposed to take something or something back to balance it out. So here, I have examples of that. Give me 1 second to find it. So here's an example of what trading looks like from another person's view. So these people are trying to take B site on bind. They're trying to retake it from the enemies who have already planted. And the Raze here is going to go in first, and she will die. If you look, she dies, but the Reyna comes in second and trades out the Raze, making it into a 1v1 situation. The whole idea behind trading is to keep your player advantage at minimum. So the ideal goal is that if you take a fight, the idea is that you are going to come out with a man advantage, right? But in the off chance that one of your teammates does not come out with that advantage and you're there to trade them or take that pick back, you're making it so that it's even, like 1-to-1. Because man advantage in Valorant is very, very, very strong and very important. Because obviously, you know, 5 players is going to be so much easier to take a site if there's only 2 people there. So trading is really, really, really imperative to learn, and imperative to figure out. So let me show another example of trading. This is the same example, but from a like a spectator point of view. So we have Raze swing out, Raze gets killed, and Reyna is there to trade, making it an easier situation for the Reyna to compete in a 1v1 rather than a you know, a 2v1 or etc. You know, this can be in a bunch of different situations. I'm sure you all have heard this this term come up while you're playing Valorant, whether it's ranked or whatever. I can't believe I wasn't showing it on. I'm so sorry. Here we go. So Raze swings, dies, then gets immediately traded out by Reyna, making it so that it wasn't just a free pick for the enemy team. I'm sure you guys have heard this term being used, whether it's your teammate yelling, "Why didn't you trade me?" or you being like, "Hey, if I go in, make sure to trade me," or something like that. You'll hear that term come up a lot. And it's a very, very like good ideology to have, so that if you have a teammate in front of you and they die, make sure to try to like get that trade, especially if it's only one person and you have other people behind you. There's a lot of different concepts like that you want to take into mind, because it's a team game. It's not a solo game, you know. There's no I in team. Okay. Let's see what else I can talk about while we're here. So we've gone over slicing the pie, we've gone over counter strafing, we've gone over wall bangs, we've gone over you know, trading, gone over crosshair placement, as far as how to keep your head level and stuff. Like don't look at the ground, like you don't want to look at the ground, that sort of stuff. We've gone over spray control. Let's see what else we can talk on while we're on the beginner stuff. Oh, playing anti-flash. Okay, so in Valorant, there's a lot of flashbang characters that have utility that can, flash you and make it so that you cannot see. For example, there's Breach, there's Phoenix, there's Reyna, there's Skye. There's a bunch of different flashing characters in the game. By playing anti-flash or by like trying to counter flash, you can make it so that you're put in the advantage when the enemy may think you're at a disadvantage. For example, if somebody flashes out of garage, so let's say a Phoenix flashes out of garage. So in this example, if you look away from the flash to take mitigated amount of flash time, and readjust yourself afterwards, you can make it so that you can retake that fight without being permanently blinded. So it looks away, sprays to get back into control, and the fight's taken back. However, if you were to look that flash right in the eyes, I actually know if I have that example, but I'm sure you guys have gotten full blinded by a Breach or by a Skye or something where you just physically cannot see. Playing anti-flash is something that a lot of players, or I'm sorry, not anti-flash. Playing anti-flash is something different, but like predicting when a flash may come. So let's say if a Phoenix flashes or if a breach flashes, there's a period of time where you're able to turn away from that flashbang. I'll show you an example of what that looks like in game real quick. A character, oh, not sub team. Character, we'll go to breach.
30 seconds left.
Game phase.
Oh, yeah, there's the adrenaline.
All right, so when a breach flashes, there's a period of time before the flashbang actually goes off. And this goes for any character. For Skye, you can see her bird. For Phoenix, you'll see the flash come out, unless obviously you know it's like a pop flash where it's very hard to turn from. It's just placed well. But with like breach and other flash characters, you'll be able to see the flash before you actually get blinded. For example, there's like a good like quarter of a second or a second period before this flash goes off, where you can see like the flash on the wall, and it'll make a noise before it goes off. If you hear that and you can turn away from it, like okay, dang, you'll be able to make it so that you don't get fully blinded by that, and you might be able to fight the person back before they swing or before somebody peeks with them. So like if a breach flashes like this, chances are they're going to swing with that flash in order to try getting a kill, because they know that, you know, somebody's going to be blinded in that area. So turning away from the flash is something that you can do in order to mitigate the flash time, so that you don't have an issue, like we showed in this clip. Oh. Like how I turned away from the Phoenix flash, I got barely flashed for like a quarter of a second, and I was able to turn back and fight. There's another example of this if you're playing with team, or if you have somebody that you're relatively coordinated with, let's say in ranked, or like you're duo queuing with somebody in unrated or something. You can do something called anti-flash, where you're playing an angle that you are for sure know that somebody might flash you from. An example of this might be at bind be long. This area right here, if you're running up and making a lot of noise, it's very common for flashing agents to flash out of this corner to be able to try to get a free spray down on the person that's playing long. But a good way to counterbalance this is to have somebody play anti-flash. And now this is a kind of extreme example right here, but basically what you want to do is you want to have somebody looking away from the flash angle to try to be able to get a trade on that potential pick if they do get blinded and killed. So you predict the flash coming, and you look away. Another example of this, it would be here. I can load up bind real quick. Another example of this, instead of like looking at the wall or trying to like look away, you can also just sit back and wait, because if you hear the flashbang come out, some people, what they'll do is, either A, like in that clip, they'll look away, or B, what they'll do is they'll have somebody sit back at the bottom of like be long at bind to make it so that they are in a spot where they won't get flashed even if they throw it deep. So I'll show you what that looks like. Oh, give me 1 second. I need to drink some water. Excuse me. Okay. Turn. Pause in game. So a lot of times flash characters, like I said, at this area on belong, if they hear you running up, they'll just throw a pop like that, and they'll come out and peek when you're blinded and they are not. A good way to counterbalance this though is to either A, have somebody playing anti-flash by looking away from where the flashback comes. So let's say a flash flashes out and you're looking away from the side, you can still react before your teammates get pushed on. So that way you might be able to kill them before they kill you. Another way that you can do this is having somebody sit at the bottom of belong. So let's say a flash is thrown, teams get blinded, and they can just swing out the back, or like at the bottom here, to make sure that you don't have any issues or nobody gets, potentially untraded or killed. And there's a bunch of examples for this. Like there's a bunch of ways to do it. Let's say somebody's, like flashing out of hookah. They jump out, they're trying to fight. A good way to play anti-flash is, just play inside the container. If a flash is thrown and you're in a spot where you can't get blinded, that's already predicting where like a flashbang might come from, especially if you know that they have a flash character and they've done it in the past. So yeah, that's anti-flash, how to make sure that you don't get flashed, how to turn away from flashes. The one bad thing you will see though is that higher elos, Eventually you'll come into the position where people will do things such as fake flashes in order to get people to turn away, especially with like Sky. Well, they'll throw a flash like that and then just swing without popping it. That's especially prominent at high elos or higher levels, because at higher levels most people will know to turn away from a flash. So the flash gets thrown, they'll see it and they'll be like, oh no. They'll turn, and if that flash doesn't go off, their backs are to you. You can just come out and shoot them. That's a little hard to do if you don't have like the aim or the expectance of it. So yeah, let's see what else I have in stock for just like the basic stuff. I guess we can go over lineup plant stuff. So in this game there's a lot of stuff related to post plant and lineups, where certain agents will be able to stop a bomb from being defused, or will be able to stop an area from being see-through by using a lineup. I'm not going to go super in depth into like certain lineups. I will give an example of it because it's good to know that they're in the game and to be able to expect to know how to interact with them. So for example, we've got Brimstone. Whoops. And Brimstone has a Molotov. With any item in this game that has a trajectory that can go for a long distance, you can do something like similar to a lineup, where you can sit in a certain spot and predict where that Molotov will go in order to stop like a bomb from being defused. That obviously didn't make it, but there's a bunch of different examples of this in game. Like, you know, you can bounce where somebody plays there. And just knowing that there's something that it's in the game and to expect it is important, especially looking at the agent composition of the other team. There are, oh geez, let me see how many characters. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, around 8 or 9 or 10 characters in the roster that can do lineups. The most prominent being like Sova, Brimstone, Viper, Killjoy. You know, anyone with a Molotov that can bounce, they'll be using they might use a lineup. So knowing that they're in the game is good to know, and how to like interact with them is an important thing to know. And I'll go more in depth with that when I'll go into like agent selection, agent pools. But as far as basic stuff goes, I think that we've covered basically everything at the beginner level of the game. You know, we talked about mouse input, we talked about aim training and aim, like aiming at head level. Like once again, we've talked about like how there's guidelines in the game, like these lines right here. You know, they've got lines like on the walls and stuff to help you look at head level. A lot of things are built into the game to help you aim at head level. We talked about how wall bangs work, and how you can shoot through the corner of the wall with any gun, but not certain parts of certain boxes depending on the pen. Like I can't pen that, but I can pen like the corner, like a classic. We talked about counter strafing, which is the idea of moving and stopping and moving. And then we also talked about slicing the pie and how to clear corners, so that you aren't taking multiple or too many fights at once. If any of you have any specific questions right now, feel free to ask. If not, I think this will be the end of this session of my Valorant Masterclass with starting at the basics. I think that next session we'll go into more team specific examples between agent utility and agent collaboration, such as, you know, like a breach flash and a jet dash, or how to like, you know, combine utility to make a really hard to fight team composition. You know, like I said, breach and jet, or like Phoenix and like I don't know, a brimstone smoke or something like that. Like if there's a smoke here, they can like flash out. We'll go over more examples like that in next Thursday's example. But for now, this is all I have planned. If you have any specific questions about Valorant, feel free to ask them now before we end the stream. It could be literally anything. How to get on a team, certain like agent lineups and stuff. Feel free to ask me right now. I'll probably stick around for another like 30 minutes to answer those questions. But other than that, that's all I have planned for today. So this VOD will be uploaded to YouTube here on this channel. It's brand new. I apologize, there's no videos uploaded to it yet. but after the stream, the VOD will be uploaded once I can. How to get good? Practice, time, and a large urge to get better. I'd say the best way to get good at a game is to have the drive and the spirit to like push yourself to get better, the willpower to get better. If you want to get better but you don't want to like put the effort in, then you're not going to get better, you know? So putting in that time, the effort, and like trying your best to get to that level that you want to be at is my best advice to, you know, to get good at anything, whether it's math, whether it's like some scholastic thing, whether it's like a video game. Just trying your best to do what you can to get better is what means the most. Putting your first step, you know, putting that first foot forward and putting your best, doing your best, trying your best. That's what my suggestion would be. Any other questions? Could be anything Valorant related. Any agent specific stuff, like how certain agents interact. Feel free to ask. Z-Tech was taken. Thank you so much for follow. Welcome, bud. So in Bronze Iron Elo, there are a lot of crouch spraying Ares players. What's the best way to combat that? Okay, so right now the Ares is very, very, I mean, they nerfed it. Obviously, they nerfed the Ares. It got nerfed, fortunately enough. The best way I would say to combat that is to use your utility to stop them. So let's say you're playing a character, aim for 3 heads, jiggle peek, true. So let's say you're playing a flash character.
30 seconds left.
What do you normally play, Z-Tech? What's like your what's your go-to character pick? Because I can give like specific examples for what you play the most. So that way it helps a little bit more. But for me, so let's say there's a crouch spraying your Sentinel main. Okay, cool, perfect. Who do you like to play? Do you like playing Chamber? So Sage, awesome, perfect. So let's go to Sage. All right.
30 seconds left.
Cool. So a lot of people are crouch spraying with, you know, Ares and stuff. For example, they might be just sitting here like this, and they might be going like that, right? They might just, you know, any warm-up recommendations? Personally, I would suggest doing aim labs for at least 5 to 10 minutes before you play. So like grid shot, and that sort of idea. Hey, you're good, man. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I would suggest like grid shot, aim, like just do different aim labs routines. I like doing spider shot ultimate. That one's really good for flicking and for your aim. And then after that, play deathmatch. Play at least 1 round of deathmatch before you go into comp. Excuse me. That's my warm-up routine. I'm a solo player and I get a lot of people who insta-lock Jet and Reyna, or some agents that are pretty good at solo queue. Really good solo queue. Before I get into your answer, Z-Tech, because these are really easy to answer. Really good solo queue agents to lock in. If other people are locking in duelists, I suggest controller. So like go like Astra, Omen, Viper. Also go initiator. So Sova, Sky, because those are really, really easy characters to play with your utility. And you can also easily support your team. Sova and Sky specifically are really, really good because you can play individually by using your own utility, like your shock darts, your drone, your recon dart, your ultimate, as well as like the sky flashes if you need to stop people like from throwing your games, or you can do whatever you want. You know, you can use your utility and win games that way. You don't have to play duelists to get kills, you know. Anyhow, to get back to your question, Z-Tech. So a lot of people are crouch spraying with Ares, right? One of the things I would suggest to do, so let's say you know where they are. So obviously a lot of people like to play this spot right here and peek short, or they'll play, let's say over here, and they'll hold from the box and something. What I would suggest is find where they are. So let's say you peek and they're like, okay, there's somebody shoot at me from there. No, try to like throw a slow orb to get them to be slowed, and then either to try to fight them then, or you can wait with your teammates and try to collaborate with your allies to figure out a better way. So maybe you want to have your Jet dash in or something like that, or you want your Sova to recon to try to find them out. Another good thing to do is to just simply wait for them to run out of ammo. If they're trying to crouch spray and they're just shooting at you, the area says 50 shots, but 50 shots go fast. Like, I have infinite ammo turned on. Hold on, wait. Like, eventually they'll run out of ammo. And when they go to reload, you have like a second and a half to make a move. Whether that's, you know, if you're playing Sage, you can like throw a slow to like stop them from pushing out. You know, you can throw like 2 slows. You can have your teammates smoke. So like somebody smokes like here and here so you can get out and like Sage wall. There's a lot of different things you can do. Another thing that I would say to combat the Ares from like the crouch spraying Ares is that if they're crouching and spraying, just try to work on predicting where they are. So let's say there's somebody crouching and spraying in that corner and they've been in that spot this every time. Just try to like pop a couple shots, and if you hit a headshot, they're dead, you know? Either that, or you can try like doing lineups and stuff to try to slow them before round. So let's say it's the round starts, you can come to like here and just like throw a slow orb. That's a bad slow orb, I'm sorry. Throw something like that. Or maybe that was a good one. Yeah, see? My first one was even better than the one I threw the second. Like, come throw like a slower lineup or something like that in order to like try to get them stuck. So if they're still peeking, man, I just cannot get that one. If they're still peeking, they're gonna get slowed. You know, they're gonna get stopped. So now if they're out in the open here, they're gonna be slowed, and you can just be able to shoot them for free. You know, just try to think and use your utility, and also being able to have agents that have blinds. So let's say if your team has like an Omen or a Sky or something, just tell them to flash the ever-loving crap out of them. Just like, just you two spam them. If you land that slow, if you get a slow there and you know they're like in cubby, maybe use Asher to pull them or throw a Molotov or something on there. There's a bunch of different ways you can use utility to fight them rather than using your own guns. I'm also told, I also get told to take off angles a lot. I just don't know when is a good time to use an off angle. Okay, so off angles should really only be used if it's in a situation that you know you can get away. So, for example, if you're playing Jet, or if you're playing a duelist like Jet, Raze, Reyna, and you can like get away easily, or even Yoru, then the off angle is a really good option to catch people from surprise. For example, like just standing in the open, like on top of this box or something. This is a really random off angle compared to like sitting here or like sitting here, right? Because they're gonna be looking down here or over here before they look up here, or before they like look up on top of this box, right? Maybe looking at the normal spots. But the only time you want to do this is if you know you're in a position that you can get away. So let's say you're playing Jet. If you're playing Jet, you can just simply like, you know, dash away. Or if you're playing Yoru, you can TP out. Or if you're playing Raze, you can like satchel, or Reyna, if you get a kill, you can E away. Another situation to play an off angle is if you know it's only one person that you're fighting. So for example, let's go to showers. If there's only one person that's coming from here and you know that they're coming, instead of like holding a corner like this, like being in a corner, being a little bit further out maybe, or like crouching or something, is just enough being off that it will help you win a fight. Hope that helped a little bit. Because off angles can be like the most random spot. They can just be like standing in the open right here. But as long as you know you can get away, you're chilling. You're really in a good spot. I hope that answered your question. And it's especially easy to do that as a duelist. So like playing on top site here, this is like an off angle. Compared to like being in hookah or like being in like, no, down here. And it's also good to mix it up. So if you are really playing it well, another good way to play an off angle is if you're playing well. If you're hitting all your shots, you're really confident, and you think that you could win a fight, playing off angle can really mix people up. For example, let's say I'm Sage, and every single round so far, I've done this wall. Oh, well, not that wall. Every single round, I have walled off hookah like this, right? Every single round. And then I played on top of the wall. If I do this every single round, I'm going to condition the enemy team to know, hey, there's a person that's on top of that wall every single round. right? And they're gonna start trying to like spam through the hookah wall. They're gonna be like, okay, they're there, blah. They're gonna try doing whatever they can to like get you out of that spot. But if you can predict that and you can like throw this wall, and you're like, okay, they're gonna peek me from long. You can play like an off angle, like just like standing like here or something. You can win that fight and then just get away. That's perfect. That's another way to play an off angle. Conditioning people to think to know that like think they know something is a really good way to I don't know, scare them and like make new predictions. For example, if you play B long and like you have like flashed this from this angle every single round. So like let's say I'm playing Sky and every single round I have just thrown a flash here, like at the start every single time. If you want to really throw people for a loop at the start of the round, instead of flashing, just running over to this corner and waiting, because they're gonna be looking here, they're gonna be trying to like predict where you are. If you're waiting and stuff and like then you flash from this side, they're not gonna expect that. And even if you don't flash, if they just walk up and like you fight them and you need to get out, you can just TP away. It's a bit hard to spot to get into though, because you have to really run, because sometimes people can like get super fast up long, like Neon can just like get out here by the time you're like in the open. It's a bit hard spot to cross to, but if you can cross there and you know they're coming B long, you're in a very nice spot, especially if somebody's like over here to help you. Hope that answered that. Hopefully. Anybody have any other questions? Anyone else? Anything Valorant related, I am down to answer. Oh. Alrighty, well, if not, then I'm going to quickly pull up Twitch up here, and we are going to find somebody to raid real quick. That's perfect. Cecile is playing Valorant. That is like, couldn't ask for somebody better to raid. Just mute the stream real quick. Oh, okay. Any tips for finding your sense? How do I stop being bronze? Okay, let me get to the sense one first and I'll help you, Corey. Of course. Okay, so as far as finding sensitivity goes, sensitivity, I talked about this at the very beginning of the stream. It is very, very personally, like personal preference. It's a lot of personal preference as to how much sensitivity you play with and stuff, but the issue is finding that personal preference. What I suggest for people playing is if you have a lot of space to move, and I'll pull up that video again real quick. Hold on. Let me go here, history, editing with your arm. So this was an example I used earlier for showing how wrist aiming look or arm aiming looks. So if you look at this man's setup, he's got a lot of mouse space. His keyboard is all the way over to the left. He's got a lot of movement, like space to move his arm, and his desk is completely clear. If you look at the way that he aims his mouse, he's using his arm to really move his mouse a lot, less than his wrist. Like you see a lot of arm movement, a lot of like full body like adjustments. Like you'll see like when he's he'll move his mouse, he moves his entire arm if you look there, and then like slightly moves his wrist for like small micro adjustments. He can do that because he has a lot of space to work with. If you don't have a lot of space, let's say you have a really tiny mouse pad, then you're probably going to want to look for a more like a higher sensitivity, because that's what you're using. Like if you don't have a lot of space to work with and you need the most like you're gonna need a higher sensitivity to compensate for this fact that you don't have a lot of space to use. So finding your preference that way, but also you know really depends on how you like how much sensitivity you normally play with. If you normally play with high sensitivity, then try using high sensitivity. If you want to try something else and use low sensitivity for a while, then try that. But one of the things I will suggest is if you find a sensitivity that works, don't change it even if you have an off day. If you're feeling bad and you're like, dang, I cannot hit my shot for my life, don't blame it on your sensitivity. Don't change your sensitivity, because by changing your sensitivity, you're going to have to reteach yourself all that muscle memory you learned in order to get to the level you're at now. And it can be really challenging, like even upping your sensitivity by a slight amount. You don't want to do it. So once you find that sensitivity that you're comfortable with, stick with it for at least, and I mean at least a month. And if it still isn't working for you, then maybe change. How do you stop being bronze? So Corey, there's a lot of ways that to climb out of bronze. One of the biggest suggestions I can make is to queue with teammates. Solo queuing in a low elo can be really, really hard because obviously in any ranked game, you will always have somebody in your elo who is really good for their elo and other people who are really bad for their elo. Prometheums, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the follow, homie. So yeah, Corey, so in your elo, like let's say bronze, silver, iron, you'll always have people at the top end of the spectrum and at the bottom of the end of the spectrum who are like either really bad or really good for that elo. So what I suggest is find people that are around your level of gameplay and queue with them so that you know that everyone on your team is at a consistent like level. So you don't have any outliers. So if something goes wrong, it's like it could have gone wrong for any of you. So it's not like a specific person's fault, you know? Another thing is that you can coordinate a lot more with the 5-stack or 4-stack or 3-stack. I know plat this tutorial helps so much, Corey. Yeah, if you're at a low elo, definitely queue with friends more. That's what I would suggest. Another thing that I would suggest is try to think more about like your utility usage. And also maybe not insta-locking duelists, because just because you play a duelist doesn't mean that you're going to be the one to like hard carry, you know? Everyone has their on and off days, but playing a duelist doesn't mean that you're going to help your team win. They are very fun though. Duelists are very fun. Does anybody else have any other questions? Feel free to ask. Once again, this entire VOD will be uploaded to YouTube probably later this week. And it'll also be available on Twitch afterwards. So if you want, you can go back and watch back the whole VOD if you haven't already. If you haven't stuck through the whole time. And I'll be, you know, there'll be more information. As far as next lesson, I'll be going over more agent specific stuff next Thursday, same time at 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll probably be going over agent specific utility and how to use it properly. I think that's what my lesson plan for that next week will be. But feel free to ask any questions. If not, I'll give it like a couple minutes, and if we have no more questions, then I will go ahead and hook up that raid and we'll head out. What next masterclass? Next Thursday, hold on, what's the date? The 27th at 3 p.m. Eastern. So the same exact time as this one, but next week. And I'll make an announcement on my Twitter. If you aren't already following me on Twitter, you can go to what is it? Twitter.com/Ryujin Plays. Pretty sure that's my Twitter. Yep, that's my Twitter. I'll be making announcements on it for the next one there. Profitiums. I can't pronounce your name. I'm so sorry. I'm plat 1 right now, but I was D3. How did I get back to being 1 game away from immortal? Can't win anymore. So what have you noticed any, like, what has been the issue in your games? And doing stuff like this is really hard because unless I have a VOD to watch, it makes it like almost impossible to really answer a question like that. But what I would suggest is just to make sure that you play, make sure you do your warm-ups before game so that you aren't going in cold. If you're just hopping on and getting on ranked, you're probably not going to play your best. Another thing is if you're trying to level up in ranked, try to lock in a character that you are the most comfortable with. As long as it fits with your team's composition. And don't be afraid to voice your opinion in champ select and be like, hey, I can't play this character for the life of me. If we play it, we're not going to do very well. You know, like, make sure that you voice those things ahead of time. Because I know a lot of, I mean, obviously in every elo, people are going to be insta-locking duelists and stuff. So somebody's going to have to fill smokes. Somebody's going to probably want to have to play an initiator. So make sure that you like, try to talk about that beforehand. Your movement seems off right now, but you don't know. How many games do you usually like play in a day? How often do you play? And what's your go-to agent in, let's say, ranked? What do you normally play? I'm always flexing. I gotcha. Hey, that's not a bad thing. Flex roll is very, very good, and it's hard to come by. Not a lot of people, especially in like plat to diamond, like the flex. They usually like to insta lock. Corey, WSD. If you're using arrow keys, you're throwing because your ability keys are very, very far away. Unless you have them bound to your mouse. You know, hey, everything's personal preference. You know, Corey, you do you, man. If you want to play with arrow keys, go for it. Go for it. But I would suggest using WSD just because there's a lot of stuff there. Lot 4 to 6. Okay. And you say you flex a lot? What part of your movement do you feel is the issue? Like, are you getting caught up on like walls and stuff, or are you just not feeling like elbow for abilities? Like, what part of your movement feels off? Is it your counter strafing? So being able to like stop moving and shooting? What seems to be off for you? Play Senti, Duelist, Sky, or Sova. Okay. Excuse me. Like what? Because I know you said that your movement feels off. Like what part of that? So maybe we can tap in a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I can try to give you like a something to help. Sound whore or sound slut? I personally would say that you call the other people. So you call. So hear me out, Corey. A sound whore sounds so much more derogatory to me than a sound slut. I am a sound slut. I will slut myself out for sound. But sound whore is probably what you call the other person. So, I feel like my timing and my movement is off, like clearing angles properly. Okay. So this is something that I went over earlier. And it's something called slicing the pie. And essentially what you want to do is you want to take, here, I'll pull up the unit circle again. Give me 1 second. History, recently closed. This, bam. Open image in a new tab. And we'll zoom in. Okay, so. I talked about this earlier. Basically a circle or a pie, like a pizza pie or a pineapple pie, what the heck? Apple pie, you know, a pumpkin pie, whatever pie you like. A circle or a pie has 360 degrees, right? And on that circle or pie, when you cut slices, you want to cut a certain degree depending on the size of the slice you want to give somebody, correct? So let's say you want to give somebody a quarter slice, like a quarter slice. Then you would cut them a 90-degree cut of the pie, right? So an angle such as this. Well, in Valorant, you can think of the area around you as being the 360 degrees of a pie, and you are at the center. You're this darkest spot right here. Now, 180 degrees of that pie, or half of that pie, you won't be able to see because it will be behind you. So from, let's say, 180 to 360, this back part behind you, you won't be able to see. But you have 180 degrees of frontward vision that you'll be able to clear in front of you, right? So the idea is, if you clear 180 degrees at once of a pie at a single time, you'll have a lot harder of time taking fights and clearing angles than if you take small portions of it. For example, we have this video here, and this video shows bad example. So this person is going to clear 180 degrees of that pie at once. Watch. So they run up, and there's 3 people sitting there. So on the peak, say we were waiting, on this initial peak, we have somebody in market, we have somebody CT, and we have somebody stairs. And obviously, because of these 3 people, even if he kills one, he's going to potentially get injured or killed by one of the other 2 players that he doesn't kill. You know? So in order to clear your angles properly, or at an easier way, you can slice the pie into smaller pieces so that you clear them in a smaller portion. So if you look here, let me see if I can slow this down. Playback speed, 0.25. So the initial angle he clears is he peeks this corner and he cuts the pie into 5 degrees. So he clears log, sees no one's there, clears towards market, sees somebody market, and takes a shot. He clears market stairs, doesn't see anyone, starts to go clear CT, sees someone CT, and then kills them. And then proceeds to move on to stairs, which he sees someone and clears. And I can give a better example of that in game. So if we go to Valorant, let's say we've already cleared this angle here. So we're about to clear B site. Also, Corey, Widejoy is amazing. It makes me sad they took him out, but apparently they're making a new player card to compensate, put Widejoy back in the game for anyone who wants them, according to the Riot devs. So essentially what you want to do is you want to take your angles very slowly. So you want to clear a small amount at a time. So clear your top site, move your way over. You don't see anything. Keep clearing. Slowly clear this wide angle. If nobody's there, keep moving over. You know, you've cleared this area already. Clear sight. And just keep trying to like slowly go in. This is really good if you're playing alone, if you're, let's say, lurking. But if you're with your team, you're probably going to want to take it faster than that. The only reason why I'm going so slow is because this is something you do if you're alone and you're in either, you know, like a 1v1 situation or a situation where you're trying to like lurk onto site and get a free kill or something like that. If you're going with your team and you guys are making a lot of noise, then feel free to like, you know, clear a little bit faster. Like, okay, I cleared all these angles. You just don't want to, what you don't want to end up doing is you don't want to just come out and expose yourself to all these angles at once without clearing anything. You know? Another thing is to be able to be ready to counter strafe. So if you do see someone, you know, like counter strafe. No, something like that. I hope that helps you in your game a little bit. Once again, I can't really help too much with your specific problem because I don't have any VODs to watch or anything like that. But I hope something like that helps you. Another thing to do, Profiteums, is if you aren't entry fragging, make sure that you're helping your team with, you know, supporting them with utility. A lot of the problem that I think Valorant players have with, if I entry and I'm 30 to 26, like good entry or bad entry. Okay, so Corey, one of the things with entries is it's not so much about your KD. That honestly, you'd probably be a good entry, but what matters more is the amount of first bloods you get. If you're worried about entry fragging, getting first bloods is so much more important than getting kills. Because if you're not getting that first blood, then you're not being the entry frag, you're just being a fragger, you know? You're taking those kills. Profitiums. Another thing I would suggest is worry less about kills and more about rounds. I don't care if you drop 0 kills in a game. If you still win that game, you won the game, you know? So try to focus on winning the round rather than getting kills. So if you can get bomb down and you know, stall them from defusing the bomb and like win the round via the bomb blowing up or something like that, even if you don't kill any people on the other team, if you can stall them from defusing that bomb and that bomb explodes, that's another round towards you. Try to focus about the overall goal of the team rather than your individual play. That's a suggestion I can make. Any other questions? Anyone, anything? Feel free to ask. Once again, I'll be hosting another session next Thursday, the 27th at 3 p.m. Eastern. Okay, first the chicken or the egg. That's the age-old question, Corey. Corey, what would your answer be? What would your answer be? Personally, the chicken would have to lay the egg, right? Right? So the question is, would this chicken have been before it evolved into laying eggs? Maybe. Maybe. The 6-piece chicken tender meal from McDonald's. Love it. Does anybody else have any Valorant related questions? Anything at all? Alrighty. We will go ahead and get our raid ready. And we'll copy that. And go ahead, go here. Slash raid. Bam. Hello everybody, thank you all so much for watching. If you're interested in getting more professional coaching, feel free to check out Cloud9 Training Grounds at the link below. We offer professional coaching through Cloud9. I hate that. I hated that. Yeah, feel free to check out Cloud9 Training Grounds. That link will take you to a affiliate page, and you will get a discount code if you use that link for signing up for any camp. It'll give you a 20% discount. Feel free to check it out. Alrighty, well, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you all again next Tuesday, or not next Tuesday, next Thursday, if you're here for more Valorant coaching sessions. But until then, thank you once again, and I will see you all later. Have a good one. Bye.
Let's go, Yaru. Thank you for the raid. Welcome, raiders. How are you? How was your Valorant games? How are games? Pretty good. Games aren't going terrible, to be honest. Maybe it's double body shatter there.
Here. Placing swarm grenade. Swarm grenade out. You will not kill my ally.
No.
Enemy spotted B. One enemy remaining.
Nice. You hit 2 flying body shots? I did do that. That was toxic. That was toxic. That is not how that should go at all. It's doing a Valorant Masterclass, giving basically free coaching. Oh, interesting. I dinked a third jet too again. Saturn. He lower command. Alright. They can off. This is. Oh, okay. It's okay. We're back.